Cloud9 up against Alliance in a full best of 3. I'm Basekip here on Beyond the Summit. Going to be joining you guys for this one, and joining me is Cinderin, who I have the great pleasure of welcoming into the broadcast right now. So, Cind, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I guess now the people who are actually fairly awake get to cast at this point.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's regular evening time for you, and it's about noon for me. So
Perfect.
I think we're gonna have no problem getting through this. I kind of feel sorry for some of the BTS casters who have had a lot of delays and have had to cast until ass o'clock in the morning, but it's a good time for us now, so that's very good. The one issue we might have that I remember we had in the past casting together is you're at home right now, right?
Yes.
Because then we could get some connection issues because there's a really big delay between us. But hopefully it doesn't happen. Knock on wood.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and now we're into the game. So I have to admit I haven't watched too much of this tournament, but I saw the previous game, and I think Cloud9 pulled off their strategy, and the execution in particular in team fights from them was pretty much phenomenal. So I think it's fair to say that I don't really know if there's a favorite for this match, to be honest. I think both teams have been playing well in the tournament so far, and most notably, the fact that these teams end up in the lower bracket finals, so two of the Western teams made it through, was perhaps not what most people were expecting with a 4 Chinese team tournament.
Everyone's disconnected. I was looking at the reserve time and thinking, oh hey, look, things are running a little bit low, so I think we're gonna.
Okay. Well, this is kind of the norm for this tournament so far, I think. So no big surprises there.
But we can keep introducing the teams. We can talk a little bit about the tournament so far as we keep on going. So, talking about both of these two teams' run, I guess we can talk about Alliance first. So Alliance faced up against Team Malaysia in the very first round, who they 2-0'd. They then faced up against Vici Gaming in the semifinals, who they also 2-0'd. Then they encountered Newbie in the winners bracket final, and they went down 0-2. There was the one game that I was watching, which was Loda's Anti-Mage, which I thought they had in the bag, but it turns out they somehow lost that one. So I think I'm going to have to go back and watch that replay. But that's how we find Alliance here in the losers final. Meanwhile, for Cloud9, they went 2-1 against LGD, beating them. They dropped 2-1 to Newbie. As hopefully the captain's mode, okay. Captain mode screen sorted itself out. So they lost 2-1 to Newbie. They dropped down. They 2-0'd Team Malaysia. They 2-1'd Vici. And now we find them here up against Alliance. So it is worth noting and worth pointing out that Cloud9 is actually the only team that has taken a game off of Newbie so far in this competition, since Alliance dropped down 2-0. So that is worth keeping in mind in terms of sizing up these two teams and talking about who's going to have a better chance in the finals.
Yeah, and then there's always the discussion about is it better to play more games so that you get more practice and get more used to the metagame of the tournament, or is it better to sit on the sidelines and watch? Because obviously Alliance played, let's see, they only played 3 matches, whereas Cloud9 played 4. So whatever you prefer there, but I'm not sure. I personally feel like this is a 50-50, pretty much, just based on the results in the tournament and what I saw from Cloud9 previous game, and the fact that Alliance managed to 2-0 Malaysia and Vici Gaming, who Cloud9 then 2-1, right? So, I think it's fair to say that it's completely even, but I'm more interested to see what the teams pick. So obviously the Terrorblade will be banned out. I think this hero will be banned in every single game, and this is, Alliance is a team that is very famous for playing split push and executing that incredibly well, so I'm not surprised to see Naga first picked. As a matter of fact, I've been more surprised with the lack of Naga. Even during TI4, I think it was an underpicked hero. But now with the recent changes to the map and to the way, I think most people consider this version better for late game because of the reduced tower gold and the ability to come back. And Naga is one of the best comeback heroes in the game, so makes sense for that to be first pick, especially because Cloud9 like it as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting game, not only in terms of talking about the Naga Siren and talking in general about the styles of the two teams. They both, Alliance, at least for this competition, pretty much the only style that they've shown is Loda on a super hard one-position farmer, and then Chessie and Bulldog. Chessie's pretty much always on some sort of tempo-y hero. I think he's pretty much only played Brewmaster and Viper this tournament, in fact, and Admiral Bulldog either on a Clockwork for more early game or a Nature's Prophet for more split push and late game. And that's pretty much the only thing that we've seen out of them. Cloud9, a little bit more variety, but some of their recent games have been in that same kind of vein as well, with just a really hard farmer for EE and then, say, a Puck and a Brewmaster or something like that. Just two mobile heroes that can run around setting up kills to buy some space. So it'll be interesting to see how the two teams clash. They're also very familiar with one another. I'm pretty sure both of these teams will definitely done their research, so the draft will be interesting. No surprise to see, I think, the Brewmaster banned out. It's been a huge asset for both teams this tournament, and like you said, I don't think the Terrorblade is going to be making it through this entire series either.
Yeah, and the Bat Rider ban is targeted against Bone7, who is one of the best Bat Riders in the world, in my opinion. Really experienced on the hero and makes some great decisions. Also goes for some creative item builds once in a while that I think have really been effective. And then they banned the Visage, which is obviously against Visage Drow, and it's kind of the ban right now as far as first phase supports go, Visage. I feel like it gets banned most of the time because it's not only Cloud9 running that strat anymore. Some of the Chinese teams have picked up on it, and, well, if you want to ban it against one team, it has to be Cloud9 in addition to that. So, interesting to see the Enchantress picked up this early, though, for Alliance. This is a hero that's kind of disappeared, and some people were predicting it would be, like, completely gone with the new Ags on Chen, but it's still Alliance's priority here. I think the goal for them is secure early game, and then, like you said, get Loda really big for late game, and if you get Enchantress her jungle early on, she is perhaps the most impactful hero in the game in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little bit... I think it's a little bit of a gamble. I think Enchantress has always been a bit of a gamble in recent versions in terms of if she gets shut out in the early game, or even if you're just a little bit unlucky, either your smokes just kind of aren't at the right time, or you get a bad combination of creeps for the lanes that you have to gank, then she could end up being a little bit of dead weight, but she's still a very good hero, and I think in the hands of Ake especially, he's one of the most renowned Enchantress players in the entire game. And also, I think, can't be underestimated in a late game situation. The damage you can deal with Impetus is actually pretty crazy. So we'll see how it does here for Alliance. I think it should do all right. And also, it's just really nice in fitting into that idea of making space, like you said, for the Naga Siren in general.
If that's their goal, if the goal is to make as much space as possible, I think you could definitely pull out the Nature's Prophet for Bulldog as well. It gives Alliance the great split push lineup that they like to play. He's really good at... You have like two ways of playing Nature's Prophet offlane in the super early game. Either you send around the treants and you really mess up the supports of the enemy team, or you jungle. And if you go to the offlane and do the whole blocking shenanigans, then... If the enemy team has to commit a lot of time to running their supports around after these treants because they can't pull, then Ake will be able to free jungle his Enchantress, and Loda will be farming the Naga. And it's incredibly hard to gank a Naga with low-level support. She has great base armor. You can even item build a bit of tank ability with a drum if you feel like. And of course, like, a great thing about Naga is that you can build for the occasion. There's not something you absolutely have to get. Most people like getting the Radiance, but it's not a necessity if you can... Perhaps if you get really crippled, you can try a recovery build with Diffusal Manta into Heart without the Radiance at all. And then, as we usually see in super late game, Nagas will sell the Radiance anyway because it's actually not that effective at that point. So, but we'll see what Cloud9's idea is. They're going to ban out the Centaur against Bulldog, it seems. So another hero that can create a lot of space with the Stampede, of course.
Yeah, I think the one thing for Cloud9 coming into this is that there's some really value-targeted bans. And you were talking about Admiral Bulldog's hero in terms of whether or not Alliance are going to be picking up the Nature's Prophet for him, and I'm on board with what you said about that. But I worry a little bit for Chessie. So I was doing just a little bit of poking around before these matches start, because I don't get to watch as much European Dota or Western Dota, admittedly, as I would like, just because of time zone. So kind of having a look at what they've been playing recently, and the one big thing, as I said earlier, that stuck out to me is that Chessie has only played Viper and Brewmaster this tournament, and if you look over the course of the last couple of weeks, he's pretty much only played Viper, Brew, Puck, Razor, and I think there's been the odd Venomancer game thrown in there as well. So with almost all of those heroes banned or picked already, I'm interested to see what we're going to see Chessie on in this game. I don't know if you have any further insight on the kind of stuff that he likes to play.
I don't know. I think the more important thing, I think, is not that he gets a hero he's incredibly comfortable on. I think the most important thing for Alliance is that they get a hero that fits the overall strategy. And then even if Chessie doesn't play it to 100% of its potential, it's still fine as long as it creates the space needed. And there's plenty of heroes that can do that. Oh, classic battle between Chen and Enchantress is what we're going to get this game.
That's surprising.
This takes me back like a year and a half almost since we've seen this.
And there's the Bulldog Clockwork. It's interesting because normally the argument was that Enchantress, if you're both battling for the same jungle, normally wins out a little bit. So, normally I think the Enchantress would sometimes be considered in some ways a counter pick to the Chen, but this time around it's just going to be Cloud9. Well, we see your greedy jungle, and we're going to go for a greedy jungler of our own. But it's not even necessarily all that greedy. Chen, great pushing power, still scales fairly well these days as well with some of the changes. I don't know if we'll ever see an army of black dragons being relevant with the Ags, but it's it's a freebie. It doesn't take anything away from what his old Ags bonus was, and I'm just excited to see Chen. He's one of my favorite heroes, so the fact that Chen and Enchantress have fallen out of the metagame and now we're going to get to see both of them in one game, I'm super excited.
Yeah. In addition to that, we're going to get Legion Commander, obviously one of the new heroes making it into Captain's Mode. I believe that's been picked once, if not more, this tournament already. I believe I've seen that.
I think I've seen it at least once. I think Cloud9 ran it, and it was disastrous. I think they had a Legion Commander and an Omni Knight support, and it did not work out for them. But it may have been picked other times.
So that was kind of a pocket strat.
Yeah.
They ran in that game. Well, there's a couple of things that really speak for Legion Commander in this game. So first of all, overwhelming odds is incredible against like these massive summoning-based pushing lineups. So if you have all the mirror images, you have 2 or 3 Enchantress creeps, and you put up level 4 overwhelming odds, and then it just dies. So it's a really good base defense skill for that purpose. As far as duel goes, it's also great to have a long single target lockdown against Naga Siren, which is something Cloud9 doesn't really have until that pick. They don't have a single stun, which is... you generally want to have at least 1 stun in your lineup, unless you're running a full pushing strat. That's a good guideline. It's not a necessity, but it's the way most teams play around, because they want to at least lock down 1 key target. Now they have duel, which is a Doom kind of effect. So I'm still not sure for Cloud9 though. It just, even with the overwhelming odds, I have this feeling that if Alliance get off to a good laning stage, they can just draw out time. And an ability like overwhelming odds falls off really heavily in the late game, and they don't have enough AoE damage to deal with the illusions of Naga Siren. What you usually want to have is something like either a Pugna with an Axe who can just life drain one of them at a time. We've seen that winning before. Or you want some massive cleave damage. And you can't build Battle Fury and Legion Commander, and if you do, it's kind of worthless. So I feel like Cloud9 is under the clock here, right from the start, unless their last pick solves an issue.
Yeah, I feel like I agree with you that they are definitely putting themselves on a little bit of a clock here. As you mentioned, overwhelming odds is amazing. It's basically Echo Slam, but not. It's ranged and it has barely any of the downsides. So that's always.
Oh, if you added Aftershock to that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, if you had Aftershock on that ability. Oh boy. But some nice synergy with the Skywrath Mage, of course, being able to duel somebody and just drop an ultimate on their head. Not too bad with the Razor either. Razor doesn't mind captive targets, so I think things looking pretty good on that front. Does give them a little bit more scaling, I guess, as well. Though I think, like you said, they don't want this game going too late at all, especially with Chen. I think they're just planning on getting some early towers, getting into Roshan pretty quickly, but they changed tack pretty heavily with this final pick, as they do end up actually going for an Ember Spirit. So, what do you make of this, Sint?
Solution to Naga, pretty much.
It's cleave.
That's the main reasoning.
Okay, so you think they're gonna? So they're accepting that no matter what we do, the Naga is gonna come online. We can't punch through the Enchantress, the Clockwork, the Venomancer, and whatever this final pick is going to be for Alliance to get to the Naga Siren and shut her down. So we're just going to say, okay, screw it. We got 3 cores. We can farm up. We can deal with the Naga. We can take this to the mid game. Not necessarily to the ultra late, because I think Alliance have shown that they're very capable once they get themselves in a advantageous position, like a Rax up or even a tier 3 down with a farms Naga. They are excruciatingly good at grinding a game out. But yeah, I think things are looking okay for Cloud9. I'm just excited to see how this lineup functions because it is a little bit unusual compared to what we've seen in the past. And Alliance round things out with a support Lion. So that's going to put Chessie over on the Venomancer, which, as we mentioned, is actually familiar territory for him. He's been running that a little bit recently. So looks like everybody on the Lion's going to be pretty happy with their pickup, and we can get ourselves into the game.
Yeah, the Lion seems to mainly be... It's kind of these two last picks are kind of trying to solve the issues that both drafts had. So for Cloud9, they want a way of dealing with Loda in the mid-late game if it goes to that point, and then for Lions, we don't have any single target lockdown against an Ember, which is kind of a problem, so we're going to get one that has both Hex and Impale. So they have some stuns here. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Admiral Bulldog even considering the Orchid build here, which I think would be incredibly useful. There's multiple targets that Orchid is really good against, but you need to get the farm first, and that's kind of not the easiest task in this kind of game, but perhaps he can pull that out. But well, what do you think about the Ags Chen? I want to talk a little bit about this because I think I haven't seen it before. A lot of people were like, this is absolutely insane. This is going to bring Chen back in the game. This is absolutely crazy item pickup. The thing that most people, I think, seem to forget is the Ancients don't have auras. So you have some really tanky creeps that you can heal up, but how much do they actually do when you're pushing the base? They also have Chaos type damage, so they don't deal much damage to buildings.
Yeah, they have a lot of health. They have pretty weak abilities in general, and also pretty low damage. I know that it's it's not the best test scenario, but played a couple of pubs and either had somebody who built an Ags on Chen rushed or seen it on the enemy team, and they're not that scary. They're big and they're dumb and everything else, and they're being healed up by a low cooldown Hand of God. But for the most part, you can just kind of ignore them. So, like I said during the draft, I feel like it's almost just a free bonus. Like Chen was in whatever position he was before, and now if you manage to get an Ags, well, you get some creeps that are okay at sieging base, and that's about it. So I don't know if we'll see it as a hugely relevant part of this game. If there's anyone who can get the farm for it, though, it is definitely AUI. So
yeah,
we'll see how this plays out.
It's going to stack a lot. Well, someone who isn't going to stack a lot will be Ake, because Cloud9 will be invading here, and I believe we should actually just introduce the players, because this is interesting, at least from Cloud9's side, how they're putting the lane. So we're going to have Bone7 playing as Legion Commander in the off lane, it looks like, which I'm curious to see how that works out. Pilot Eye will be on the Skywrath Mage, Fata on the Ember Spirit, most likely going mid, Aoi 2000 on his Chen, and finally Eternal Envy on the Razor. Legion offlane, I think I've never seen that. Not even in a pub game have I seen this before. I'm really curious.
Yeah, I feel like this is where I've actually seen C9 running it. When they've picked it, it was definitely Radiant offlane in the other game this tournament that I saw. So looks like maybe that's just where they favor the hero. I think Bone7 built just like Blink Blade Mail, something along those lines, which is primarily playing it as an initiator, and we'll see if we see something similar this game. Very quickly introducing Alliance before I go and tweak some overlays. We've got Ake on the Enchantress, we've got Misery on Lion, we've got Chessie actually down on the safe lane as Venomancer, we've got Loda heading towards mid as the Naga Siren, and Admiral Bulldog, no big surprises. He's going to be on the off lane as the Clockwork. As you mentioned, C9 moved pretty aggressively down into the Radiant jungle to start, and I believe this ward should just block out the big camp here, but also give some pretty good vision of the Enchantress potentially rotating over to do things to the Legion Commander. So I think this is a pretty nice start for them, and they're also going to have the Skywrath Mage down here as well, just to secure some early CS for Bone.
Yeah, this is a good laning position from Cloud9 in the beginning. I love the ward, by the way, as you mentioned. It's a warding spot that will generally not get countered. We see Ake is looking for the Observer ward, and he can't find it because this is a very unusual spot. So the main purpose of this is blocking the big camp and just giving all the vision they can for basically for free, right? Because it's not going to get countered. So
well,
really nice choice here.
We said that, but it got countered.
Oh, he did find it?
Ake's a little bit too savvy for that one, it seems. So there you go. So
he's going to have to use 2 sentries and wait until 2 minutes, though, which is already an accomplishment for C9, because that's going to give their Legion Commander level 2 for completely safe. Pilot Eye is also going to be okay here. Satyr doing a little bit of harassment, but Yeah, this dual lane off lane is going to be really, really struggling once Enchantress shows up, and then I think Pi is just going to leave the lane. But until that point, they're getting a lot out of this in that off lane.
Yeah, just putting a lot of pressure down, sort of forcing Misery to be sitting in the lane at the moment as well. He's not running poles, he's not stacking, and levels are definitely a concern for the Lions, so that's not too bad. And like you said, there's no real downsides at the moment for C9. They've got a very capable 1v1 hero in the Razor handling the safe lane. They are giving away a little bit of extra farm to the Clockwork, but I think in the grand scheme of things it works out just fine. 2-minute rune's going to be spawning up, load of grabs, an invis on top, and that is going to be a bounty for Pylai down bottom lane. As it looks like he is going to consider starting to move away from the lane here. He's just standing in front of the Ancients at the moment. I don't know what he's doing there.
And the bottom lane is going to be really, really tough for Bone 7 now. He's up against level 3 Veno. And wait.
He just wanted a free trip back to base. He shopped up. It was fine.
Okay. Yeah, he shopped out. Yeah, you're right. Yes. So, 1-0 for Alliance in Dota 2. This is a 1-0. But, of course, the first blood hasn't been spilled yet. It doesn't count when the neutrals get the kill. But as I was getting at, Bone 7 will be struggling more and more in the bottom lane. I'm curious to see which direction Chessie goes with his Venomancer, if he tries to, or if he chooses to max out the Plague Wards, just for the standard pushing kind of style, if he wants to run a combat build. If he maxes out Poison Sting, this
net coming in
LC
bottom
basically
mid, slowed up, does manage to put up the shield. They're coming in with the auto attack. Salve gets popped, also has some bottle sips. With the TP counter initiation coming in, Bone 7 getting a lot of move speed up here. Nuke coming into Ake as well will finish him off, and that's first blood for Pylai. Great little turnaround there for C9. They do end up TPing, you know, 2 heroes in the midst of all of that, but I think that's just fine for the outcome that they got. Anything to slow down the Enchantress and keep the Ember Spirit in fighting shape.
Yeah, that was well worth it. They traded 2 TPs for basically saving a hero and killing another. Fata was so close to dying there. The Satyr obviously didn't want to use the blast while he had Flame Guard on. And the moment Flame Guard went off, the Satyr was like 3/4 through the cast animation, and then it died. So, really, really clutch plays here by Cloud9. And as you said, the more they can deny the Enchantress in this early game, the better. Because Ao is getting out-leveling her quite significantly. He's already 1.5 levels ahead at this point on the Chen. And arguably, in most cases, Chen will be more useful than Enchantress at around the 20 to 30 minute mark. And that's when I think Cloud9 wants to strike with their Ember Spirit, with a Razor, with probably an Aghs. And then, yeah, Alliance will not have their super strong Naga yet. And worth noting, Chen will probably get the mech here, so Eternal Envy can skip that on the Razor build, and that buys you a much, much faster Aghanim's.
Yeah, and I think in general, Envy's actually just been going for Tread's Drum on his Razor these days. Hasn't really been going for the mech, and I think it kind of makes sense, you know, not only for this game, but also just in general. EE's playstyle pretty farmy, C9's style not too heavy on the 5-man, so I think you're more likely to see Envy go for, you know, not go for the mech than otherwise. But oh, we've got more movement coming out of Alliance. Another smoke. They've got a Centaur and a Wildling that's just about to expire, and they've made a very long rotation all the way up to top lane to try to find this kill. There's no hook on Bulldog just yet, so they have to get the walk-in initiation, and this is a really awkward position to be ganking. E's in the middle of these
there's
trees.
A lot of creeps here, though.
Oh, there's so many creeps. Bulldog coming in. Misery jumps in with the stun. EE in some trouble. I think they're trying to send him back. No, not yet. Just draining out damage. It's actually going to be Bulldog who falls first. One more auto attack out of EE, and now the Ursa coming in claps down 1. That's going to be a double kill picked up for AUI, and Ake actually managing to escape at the same time. Meanwhile, mid, Fada and Pylai do manage to pick up a kill on Loda, so it's 3 for 1 all over the map there, in favor of C9 in fact.
I think Bulldog went in a little bit too aggressive and a little bit too early there. It's really important, if they can do it, that they let the Lion open the gank so that Envy doesn't get the static link off in the start. That's basically what cost them that kill and got two of their own heroes killed, was that he got to drain all Bulldog's damage before their own real damage came in. So, in my opinion, a little bit of a misplay, because there was kind of no risk involved there, to be honest. It seemed like Cloud9 had no idea. And that's really, really costly.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And that, like you said, that's normally a gank that the enemy team isn't anticipating because it's such a long movement. They're more likely thinking, oh, they're going to smoke around mid, or they're going to loop around bottom lane. one of these two options, but instead Alliance
Top lane, Bulldog again.
is in some trouble here. There isn't a link for EE. Bulldog just going to run himself over to the trees. Doesn't have a TP scroll for 15 seconds, in fact. He can cog and hook to buy a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to save him. And no, Stun comes in, out onto 2, but Misery might have just put himself in a bad position. Envy's just coming in, gets the plasma field, but won't chase this down for a kill. A little bit too low. I'd end up going for that one, but that's just another free kill for C9 on top lane and getting off to an amazing start here. But one thing that we also haven't pointed out, I wish I'd paid more attention to AUI's start in the jungle. As you mentioned, he was like level 4, 4 minutes into this game, but now he's level 7. I mean, there was another little stack over here, and he did pick up a double kill, but this is ridiculously fast leveling on the Chen. And Chessie pushing bottom lane, gets caught out, TP into EE, and they do manage to pick up that kill and the deny on the tower. Just perfect play out of C9 so far.
Yeah, this is already starting to look grim for Alliance. Just the momentum in the game is obviously going C9's way, but they're getting so many items that are going to be... They're going to be getting them really fast in this game. Usually, Chen would be getting mechs really early based on farming and getting a couple of towers. Of course, the tower gold is a little bit less now than it used to be, but it goes both ways, right? The tower in the bottom lane got denied, so Alliance have like absolutely no gold flowing in from that. Nice deny by Misery, though. 1 on 2 heroes and 3 creeps there. Manages to get that. That's a really big deal here for Alliance and buying some time, so this could turn out to be the biggest play of the early game for Alliance so far. That one denied there.
Bulldog, he's got a hook. He's sizing things up on top. Bone 7's already being sent back, so looks like this haste is not going to end up doing anything.
Radiant's
Just a
courier
little bit
has been
unfortunate.
killed.
Radiant's courier also ends up going down. Do I have that keybound? Yep, I do. So just died on the mid lane. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what that was about, but looks like a bit of miss micro is going to end up costing Alliance even further, and as if things weren't going bad enough at this stage.
Yeah, this is there's not much more to say than this is completely Cloud9's game already. Having a 4,000 golden experience lead in an 8-minute game is pretty extreme, and they're looking to further that lead right now with a smoke gank here. Fata and Pylai even level 6 already here. So it's not only the Chen getting good levels, it's also Pi and this. Yeah, okay, that's... You need a really, really good heal to live through that combination.
Yeah, I think there was not much hope in there. And Pylai, like you said, already level 6. The levels for Cloud9 are fantastic. Chen didn't get pressured at all. He's already level 8, so I think that's most of the experience lead explained there. Meanwhile, Ake is still level 4. And this is where we talked about the Enchantress as being a gamble. Ake went for some ganks, mid lane wasn't successful, top lane wasn't successful. That was pretty much his entire early game, and now he's just got nothing. He doesn't have Urn, doesn't have level 6. The map is already starting to get closed in a little bit as C9 start taking some tier 1 towers, and that means that ganks are only going to become more difficult, and C9's heroes are only getting tankier as well.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Alliance,
attack.
I guess, just have to buy some time and hope that Loda can put them on his back on this Naga Siren. 1,800 gold picked up so far. Super eco build, no Aquila or anything like that. Just bottle, brown boots, and a Quelling Blade for the time being.
I think he has to rush the Radiance in this game. I think going for a comeback build doesn't work if the rest of your team are the heroes that are behind, because you really need, like you said, to put them on your back. Now, the one thing they have going for them is Chessie with the level 4 Plague Wards and 2 in Poison Sting. He is perhaps the best hero in Dota 2 right now at stalling 10 minutes, if you have a Veno like this. It's very difficult for Cloud9 to push lanes, and he's just going to keep pressuring out the mid lane constantly. And if Cloud9 go for an all-in on one lane, they might trade away a tower in their middle lane. So that's something Alliance have going for them. But the biggest problem they have right now is that the supports are falling so far behind. Misery's level 5.5, which isn't too bad, but a level 4 Enchantress in an 11-minute game is just... It's on the path to getting crushed, basically. There is a comeback potential, but they have to make a gank with this smoke. It's pretty much a necessity at this point.
Yeah, the other problem with the Enchantress as well is that it's not particularly a good comeback game for the Enchantress either. I mean, typically if you have... The norm for most cores these days is that they're going to be alternating between farming a lane and farming the jungle, and that kind of just steps all over the Enchantress's toes. So if you're behind and your farm space is already getting restricted, that's where the Enchantress is just getting nothing, because she is not up there on the priority list at all. She's kind of expected to be self-sufficient off ganks and what little bit of farm she can scrape together. So this is already looking like a really tough game for Ake, if we haven't emphasized that enough already.
Yeah, and he is indeed just going to be stacking for Loda. And we saw him stacking this camp right here, and he's giving all the experience and gold to Loda. He's basically just running around right now. I think he hasn't got a point of experience the last 2 minutes. Now he's going to take over a troll here. Perhaps that's the makings of the gank, as they do spot Fata in that bottom lane, but I don't think they have the damage between Lion and Ake until Lion's level 6, which he is now, though. So perhaps a potential kill here.
Courier got pinged out. Yeah, I think Fata may have somehow spotted the Courier in the midst of all of this, and we've got a bunch of C9 heroes converging down here. Misery does have a TP scroll. He's holding his nerve for now, but surely at this point they know that the tower is already forfeited. Yeah, Misery was just sticking around as long as he possibly could. We'll end up just TPing towards the top lane, so not too much time wasted there. Fata does end up snagging the tier 1 tower last hit. And Alliance, as a response, are going to try and put some pressure on this tier 1 mid, but there's already an Ember Spirit TP at the ready to come and clear this one out, so no real trade out of Alliance, just ends up being a little bit more time for them to work on this Radiance.
Yeah, I think this is the best Alliance can do right now, to be honest. Apart from maybe that one gank that I was mentioning they could have found, this is the kind of play they need to make. Avoid fights, try to split push, get as much pressure on lanes as possible, and if you concede a tower to Cloud9 like that, it's a tier 1 in 6.82, it's not the end of the world compared to what it used to be. And at the same time, you prevent them from going for the tier 2. They're going to do a little bit of pressure here, but they can't commit fully since they've TP'd back heroes. And both Chessie pressuring out the mid and Alliance heroes pressuring out top. This is pretty much a textbook play right now from Alliance in the current game situation. The question is if it's going to be enough, but they're definitely doing what they can.
Yeah. And like you said, tier 1 tower is not the end of the world. They're pretty good against Chen push with the Enchantress. Ake liable to pick up a couple more points in the enchant, just so he can constantly be stealing those creeps. And C9 still just kind of ramping up. So I don't think it's the end of the world, like you said, for Alliance, but definitely tough spot. AOI's got that mech completed. I don't think we have the beginnings of a medallion on anyone, but Roshan isn't really too much of an obstacle for C9. Also, I don't think it's too much of an interest for them either. They're getting good farm by being split up on the map right now, and I don't know how much they're going to be able to do with the Aegis, at least for the time being, or at least until they have, say, the Blink Dagger up on the Legion Commander. Then they might be interested in picking the Aegis up and handing it over to Bone 7.
If nothing else, Roshan still gives pretty good gold. The AoE, or the global gold from destroying towers, was of course decreased, but Roshan remains the same. So now, relative to taking a tower, killing Roshan is a lot better.
Chessie
so
is going for that Invisor, and Pie's going to shepherd him away, but nobody else is there, so it's going to be that.
And the top tower will fall here. It's going to be denied by Bone 7, so Alliance have managed to take 2 towers just like Cloud9. I think they're fairly happy with that, and Loda now only 300 gold away from the Relic. It's the makings of a sub-20 Radiance, which, all things considered, is pretty good, I think, for this kind of game. And I just want to say, historically, I think Cloud9 might be the team that at least that I can think of, that have lost the most games against Naga when they've been really far ahead. So I think it's in the back of their heads as well that they have like this extra obstacle in this kind of game, just hating playing against Naga late game. I think it was against DK at TI4, it was against Alliance at ESL, I believe, even, or maybe, against Alliance even at TI4 as well. Just historically over the last half a year, they've lost so many games to late game Naga, so I'm definitely not counting out Alliance because stat-wise, I think this kind of situation, if Cloud9 don't accomplish more in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I think the stats actually speak for Alliance for this game.
Yeah, and like you said, C9 trying to make some moves. They're going to jump in on a very low HP Venomancer who is trying to spam out mid. It's going to be Chessie brought down, killing spree for Fata. And tier 1 tower not really being defended too much. There is a Wild Wing throwing out a tornado to stall things a little bit. Bone 7 still all the way on top lane, trying to finish his blink very, very quickly, but the rest of C9 going to continue pushing in here. And let's see what Alliance can really do. I think you do have a very fair point about the... Yeah, C9 in general do seem to struggle a little bit against the Naga Siren, and like you said, still a reasonably timed Radiance for Loda given the circumstances, so... We'll see if, as we were talking about earlier, he can put his team on his back. A little bit of a shame for Bulldog. Got some okay levels in the early game, but just because of the position of the rest of the game, he hasn't really been able to do too much with it. So, looks like Clockwork, similar to the Enchantress, is also just going to be falling by the wayside this game.
At this point, he maybe should have just maxed out Power Cogs just to drain mana and delay pushes even further. I don't know. But yeah, well, maybe he's gonna get a gank now. At least they're looking for it. 3 heroes smoked up. Misery leading the charge. Level 4 Impale. Finger is ready. It's pretty much an instant kill if they find. They kind of have to find Bone 7. If they find Aoi, sorry, he might survive because Bone 7 can remove the hex with press the attack. And where's Pi? Okay, Pilot Eye is not there with a Force Staff, so I think it's still going to be a kill. But I don't even know if Alliance won this.
Yeah, AUI's mech is on cooldown right now. I don't know if that was seen by Alliance, or if they're just going to decide, well, okay, like you were talking about, if we jump the Chen, he's going to get dispelled and healed, and then he's going to pop his heal as well, or if we jump the Legion Commander, well, Chen's just going to heal her. So, looks like that is going to be that, and just ends up being a little bit of wasted time, unfortunately, for Alliance. Chessie, again the target on this middle lane, Fada with the shield up, looking to jump in as more heroes move around. C9 with this Blink Dagger up on Bone 7. Looking to make a jump with the Mystic Flare. There's also a Force Staff up on the Skywrath mate. They're going to run into Ake first, but there's a blink into the immediate duel. Do they have the burst damage? Mystic Flare coming in range. Hookshot in, out of the Clockwork. Chessie does manage to drop his ultimate before he gets silenced. A little bit of miscoordination there out of Cloud9. Ends up trading 1-for-1. Deep dive underneath the tier 2 tower does end up resulting in a double kill for Pylai Dai. And he's just getting chased down a little bit right now. But 2-for-1, not too shabby. And C9 will rein things in a little bit and just go back for the tier 1.
Radiant's middle tower is under
That
attack.
could have gone way worse for them, I think. With that perfect hookshot coming in from Bulldog and the 2-person cog, it wasn't that far off that Alliance could have perhaps got a 2-for-2 or maybe even 2-for-1. The Veno almost survived as well, so very daring play out of Cloud9. Not really that characteristic for them to go for dives like this. They're more often a little more passive, farming-oriented team, and then playing very structured engages, especially when they're playing with their Chen, they usually just go with 5 heroes on a lane, push, use their numbers advantage, and take the tower. But a little bit of an aggressive play working out this time around, and they get the tower as a reward as well. So still looking good for them. They're gaining, but this curve is going to be going upwards towards Alliance after the next 2 minutes. Loda's Radiance is 200 gold away.
Yeah, and with that, Loda is going to be able to start sapping a little bit of farm from the C9 side of the map and maybe opening up some space for his own team to use the jungle. Worth pointing out that C9 did have the Radiant jungle warded up pretty heavily. We saw Envy actually trying to move over and grab some farm there, but he spotted some heroes on the dire wards, so it's not going to end up going in. And yeah, I think Alliance probably feeling okay about their position. They're still getting farm, they've almost got the Radiance, and they still have all of their tier 2s pretty much completely intact. So things on that front at least looking okay.
It's really good to see that warding coming out from Cloud9 though. This is very, very good map coverage. They have pretty much complete control of almost anywhere Loda would want to go. So there's always the threat of the duel coming in from Bone 7 now. Pretty much simultaneously they'll be picking up Radiance and the Battle Fury. Not a Butterfly Ember, that's kind of rare. But he's going to get the Battle Fury. And with that, perhaps Fanta can actually keep up the pace with Loda here in terms of farm, and if he finds the illusions, he can make very quick work of them now with a level 3 Sleight of Fist. So Alliance are definitely on the way to making some sort of a comeback, but I feel like we need to see Loda getting at least 2 more items before I feel like Alliance are gaining enough to say they're increasing their winning chances dramatically. It's not getting to that point just yet.
Yeah, the other thing that's really nice about this Ember Spirit and having picked up the Battle Fear, and this is an argument that a lot of people were making when we first saw Ember Spirit kind of exploding onto the scene and being played against a lot of Nature's Prophet, was that he could always just leave a remnant with the team, TP back to a tower, cleave down a couple of waves, push things out, and then rejoin immediately. So it means that split push doesn't really break your sieges as much, and if C9 turn up to a tower, they should, in general, at this point, be able to bring that down without losing something in another lane. It's still going to be difficult, and they do have to be careful about this blinking lion, but I think, in general, if Fada plays it pretty safe, should be in a good spot to clear out waves and continue to advance C9's position.
Misery is...
he just wants to use Finger of Death. I don't think he's used it yet.
I don't think he can solo anyone. He can solo Skywrath only, I guess. That is actually a killer.
Man, you have to count in the level 4 Rocket Flare. That's the extra damage. That's what they need to kill Pylai Dai. I mean, Pi is only 760 hit points, so... I don't know if
Times
killing
the
him
burst
is gonna
perfectly and Chen doesn't get all heal
Oh,
off. It is a
Loda
kill.
gonna pop the song. Okay. Didn't manage to get the
Could
sound
be a
top in
turnaround
time.
here.
Oh, Misery's finally gonna get to use this stun. Comes in, only manages to catch Pi. There's a jump away from Fada. Already had a remnant waiting. Nicely done by him. And Alliance do manage to pick up a little freebie. Also going to Loda. Fada jumping back in with the Searing Chains. But that's gonna be that. He knows that heroes are not too far behind. There's also this ward. So it just ends up being some harassment. He actually gets hexed up. Misery jumping in. Fada too aggressive. Double kill for Loda. Not showing up on the board, but
really expensive. Loda was behind Razor and Ember Spirit. Now he's 1,000 gold ahead, right there. He got like 20 CS, 2 kills, who both had streaks.
It doesn't show both. That's a shame.
Yeah, that's insane.
Even if you just look at the experience off that Ember kill, that was 2 experience off 1 kill, not including Pi when the game was even less, in Alliance's favors. So that was very scary. And of all the heroes to get those kills on, Loda is definitely not the one who C9 wants to be giving them away to.
Easily the best thing that could have happened for Alliance right there.
under
Cloud9, they need to be careful with making these plays. I understand where they're coming from, that they want to play aggressive and they want to control the Naga. It's also what they have to do, but going in with 2 heroes next to the tier 2 tower, neither of them being the Legion commander, I think it's too risky of a play to go for here, and they get punished really hard. They didn't even secure the Roshan here, which they were starting to work on, but took them way too long. They don't have a good Roshan lineup apart from Chen. And Alliance essentially just got Loda like 2,500 gold for no trade-off.
Yeah, it was just served up to him, really. Like he didn't have to go anywhere. He didn't have to leave his tower. Didn't have to leave his lane. He just kind of wandered up and he grabbed those kills. Obviously, that wasn't C9's intention, and I think the execution there could have been a little bit cleaner. Fada went for the chains before Pylai Dai was in range. I think Pi could have maybe force-staffed and gotten the Ancient Seal off, but it would have been really close. So I don't think we can fault him too much for that one. But yeah, it's actually Alliance making some aggressive moves now. They head in towards this tier 2 tower on top, and Cloud9 are grouped up, but they frankly look a little bit lost. They do have a BKB over on the Razor now, so EE a little bit more team fight ready. But yeah, aside from that, we're just going to continue waiting, and Alliance going to continue farming.
Something needs to happen soon for Cloud9. I think those 2 kills were just so important that they lost like 5 minutes of game time right there. That's how expensive these mistakes are, and even more so in this version now that there's a little bit of additional comeback when you're behind and you get those kills. So looks like they're acknowledging that fact as well, but it's just very hard for them to get out on the map. And to be honest with you, I haven't felt the Legion commander's presence in this game at all. He had that one engage behind the tier 2 tower, or behind the tier 1, pardon me, in the mid lane. That's pretty much all we've seen out of Bone 7, and it's just not really... I feel like Legion commander's a great hero, but they never got the opportunity so far to really use it. And either they need to force that, or they need to rethink the pick as a whole, how they use it in the draft, because it's kind of been underwhelming in this game for me, the pick itself.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you what you thought about the Legion, because we had all that discussion during the draft about, what is the pick doing, what are the strengths of the hero, and C9 haven't really exploited it too much. I feel like even something like Beastmaster would have filled a very similar role to what Bone 7 has accomplished this game, but... And could have even stacked Ancients and whatnot as well while they were over on the offlane. But we'll see. Now that he's got his Blade Mail up, maybe those Blink Dagger initiations are going to get that little bit stronger, and he might start moving around with Pylai Dai. I think that's the one thing that we also haven't seen from them, is that we haven't really had much combined movement from Bone 7 and Pi. Pi's tried to set up kills with Fada, but Bone 7's kind of just been farming up these 2 core items. And let's see if this starts to pay off. Misery's just waiting in the trees down here on bottom lane. I don't know if they know that he's over here.
He's in a really good position.
Yeah, he knows
this is really, really well played.
Yeah, he knows that that's going on as well. The Radiant Ward is gonna spot a lot of that out, so... Yeah, patience from Misery.
It just broke the smoke from Pi and wasted Cloud9's time. I'm not sure he was aware that was happening because of this ward. I don't think he saw them smoking, but he just...
No.
Maybe felt it on the map that so many heroes were missing, so maybe he should just stand there, leech experience, and break the smoke. So very nicely done here by Misery.
I think he's just telling himself, like, somebody on C9 is going to be greedy enough to farm bottom lane, right? There's a bunch of creeps grouped up, there's no tier 1 tower, we're showing people on the other lanes. Like, surely somebody's going to come and farm. But it was C9 just going going for a gank. And C9 now grouping up. They got a 4-staff on AOR. As we were talking about earlier, they've just completed a bunch of pretty substantial items, and the question is now, can they use them? Because I feel for Alliance, everything that they're picking up, especially on Loda, it's only increasing his farming speed, it's only making him scarier, and everything else is also going to be relevant, I think, at all stages of this game. Bulldog's tanking up a little bit, looks like he's going for an Ags. They've got the Veno Ags blink, and now as I speak of Chessie, he's going to get bursted down on mid lane. Just disappears in a fraction of a second.
He's still got the Poison Nova off though, and that's a really big deal. That's an Axe level 2 Poison Nova. He's going to force out the Hand of God. That actually almost killed 2 heroes, just clicking his ult button. And getting a little bit of sting off.
Rocket Flare's coming out. We've got Naga Siren Illusions coming in as well. Actually, everyone on C9, they got that kill, but Chessie almost bought all of the time for his own death in just sending C9 back to base. So I hazard
not enough.
Yeah, I hazard to call that a win for C9 actually.
I think Alliance got more out of that, and it's just because they can easily at this point throw away heroes once in a while to just buy a minute for Loda, and that's essentially what happens every time Veno gets ganked and gets his ultimate off. That will send the enemy heroes back to base. Loda gets another 1,000 gold to farm pretty much in this 1.5 to 2 minutes he gets for free, and he now has a Manta. And this is the point, you know, this is starting for me to feel like the absolute classic Cloud9 meets Naga game. I've seen this so many times before, and it is incredibly hard to play Cloud9's lineup in this game. I think Alliances has more ease of execution. If you don't make crucial mistakes and you just farm up and buy some time, you're looking good. Maybe Cloud9 I'm not sure why they're struggling so much with these Naga games. Do you think it's the picks or the playstyle? Are they not punishing Loda enough early on? Did they not take the towers fast enough? Did they not get Roshan at all? What's the issue here? I feel like it's the same every time.
Yeah, I don't know if you would agree, but I feel like C9's I think it is just C9's playstyle in general. It's fairly greedy. It's always trying to be as efficient as possible and only sending the bare minimum to pick up kills while everybody else is farming. Oh, misery, he's being spotted out. Looks like it's going to be some damage for Bone 7. That's a little bit unfortunate for the poor Lion. Chessie's coming up with this Invis. We've got a Radiant Solution in the neighborhood as well. Chessie, that Invis is now faded. He's playing pretty aggressively. We've got Bone 7 focusing on this Silent Solution for now. EE coming in, draining out Chessie, who is not going to TP just yet. Just drops the ultimate, barely connecting on anyone. And that's just Alliance walking into 2 deaths. I don't know what that was.
That was really weird from Chessie.
That feels exactly like what happened with Fada top lane. He's like, oh, my support died. Oh, I'm gonna come check out what's going on. Oh, I'm dead. Oh well.
Well, he did have an invis. I think he underestimated or overestimated how much time he had left, rather.
I think he wasn't looking at it. Yeah, I feel like he
Radiant's
just wasn't looking at it,
tower
honestly.
is under attack.
So there you go. I've seen it happen. I've seen people trying to line up like perfect black holes with an invis rune, and then they're not looking at the duration, and they pop out, get hexed, and just die. And it's always a little bit sad. But so C9 pick up a couple of kills. Going back to that thought earlier about C9's problems against Nagasaki, I feel like it is just in general. C9 don't really like 5-manning and running headlong into things. They really like, okay, let's finish our next big item and then go for a push. And I don't know if it's fair to call it, you know, next item syndrome, where somebody makes a call and they're like, hey guys, can we go for a push? And one of the cores puts up their hand and says, well, I'm only 500 gold away from this item, so let's wait for that. And then that item gets completed, so they say, hey guys, can we go for a push? And somebody else puts up their hand and says, well, if you let me farm for 2 minutes, I'll finish up X big item. So I don't know if it's necessarily fair to call it that, but it does just seem like style-wise, or the way that C9 draft, they put themselves in a pretty tough position against this Nagasaki. I don't know.
And it was the first pick as well, so they kind of it was the overall first pick of the game, so they had all opportunities in the world to draft against it, and I feel like they were doing really good actually in the early game, right until the point they gave Loda 2 kills. And arguably, they should have perhaps done more before that even, getting more towers, reducing the map control even further from Alliance, because Loda still got a sub 20 Radiance. He only died once as well in a 30-minute game. And I think you've just got to say, it's a hard task for Cloud9, but when you draft like this, it's just not good enough. Like you said, you willingly drafted this, and you have to make it count. And we still have to see them take a tier 2 in a 30-minute game.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well is that the pacing of the mid game feels really different. And I mean, I've even just noticed it from a commentator standpoint and from playing pubs and stuff. But it's no longer quite as obvious how things are going to play out in the mid game. A lot of it comes back to, you know, random pickoffs happen, and those pickoffs swing the game a lot more than they used to. But I feel like C9's lineup in the past against something like a Naga Siren, with the kind of lead that they had coming out of the early game, would have been quite easily able to push down tier 2s, but just with the farm that Alliance got and, you know, the couple of pickoffs that went back their way, I feel like that's been the really big stumbling block, and a lot of teams are just kind of lost in this new mid game because they don't have a feel for it. It's the same as when a spell's damage or something gets changed and your expectations just get screwed with, like when Wisp's Tether lost a stun, people would still just run over TPing heroes expecting it to cancel, but there's a weird disconnect between how you expect things to go and how they're actually going. So that's my rant on that.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. I think the main reason for me why Naga is even better right now is that it is just perfect for the changes that happen in this version, and also the fact that she didn't get nerfed at all. To my...
Why?
Did she?
Why? No, I say why. Like, why did she not get nerfed?
Oh yeah.
that is my big question.
Yeah. I think this hero is still just fundamentally crazy when you get into game situations like this. I would assume, just off the top of my head, games that go beyond 40 minutes with Naga in them, Naga has like an 80% win rate, or maybe higher for me. Like, I feel like every time I see a late game with Naga, she wins it somehow. And it's just that if you give that away as a first pick, you have to draft against it. But as you said, in this version, it's harder to draft against it, because not only do you need a pushing lineup, which is rewarded less for pushing, but also when you make that one or two pretty much inevitable mistakes, right? Then you pay twice as hard against the Naga as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her being the overall pick and one of the biggest bans in the time to come. She is just that good now.
Yeah, and I think it's in the same vein as Alliance have been really heavily picking... I think the fact that Alliance have picked Spectre and Naga and had so much success with it is not a fluke at all. I think both heroes, you know, excel at soaking up a lot of the comeback gold from the new changes, and the slower pace just favors them a lot. So yeah, Alliance seem like they've just kind of found their comfort zone. And the other thing is that, you know, something that LD talked about a lot and people have talked about in talking to Alliance at TI is that they regret not picking their Naga more, not having the confidence just to say, look, screw it, we know we can win Naga games, we're just going to pick it in the first two. And it seems like that's something that Alliance is now actually bringing out. So that's been really interesting to see. And one thing that eludes me, and I was thinking about during the draft, so I don't know if you sinned, but how is has Loda always been drafting for the new Alliance, or have we had things shuffle around a little bit? I wasn't keeping track, if I'm being honest.
I think he has.
Yeah?
I seem to recall seeing one game in which Chessie drafted really early on, but I think it's been Loda pretty much exclusively. I could be wrong, it might have only been Loda, but yeah, he's definitely the new drafter for the team, and I think it's hard not to draft a little bit biased for yourself as well. If you're playing a position 1 and you are the drafter as well, in this game he was playing the mid role, but still a position 1 hero for the overall strategy. If he has confidence in himself in that Naga, he knows he will pick it. Now he doesn't have to convince a captain or the rest of the team. He'll just be like, you know what, guys, I got this. And I mean, so far it's been looking grim, but I kind of don't really want to look at the graphs anymore in this game, because I feel like this is the point in time when the graphs become incredibly misleading. You can be behind 10,000 golden experience and still be winning with a Naga, as long as Naga's looking good. So for me, it's all about a net worth chart in isolation. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Alliance win a big team fight while they're really far behind. And it's all because of Loda and Chessie having core items. Blink Axe on Veno makes everyone low, and Loda just runs them over with illusions. That's my prediction for the next team fight.
Yeah, and this is where the sort of the initiation problem that we were talking about for C9's lineup starts to come back to bite them a little bit, you know, in terms of single target stuns and lockdown. If they don't jump the Venomancer, even if they do jump the Venomancer, if they don't kill him in the duration of duel and silence, That's all they've got. And all that Chessie wants in the world right now, and you can see it in his build, is just to get off his ultimate. He doesn't care about anything else. So long as he ults 3 or 4 heroes, he has accomplished his lot in life. So it's really difficult to focus the Veno. And as we've seen earlier, there's also plenty of counter initiation for Alliance. If you duel the Venomancer, your whole team can get songed, which sets up for a perfect hook Ag's ulti from the Veno, or you can have a jump in from the Lion, or you can just have a hook cogs from the Clockwork as counter initiation. So in general, I feel like the one thing that C9 are really going to struggle with is forcing anything. And that's also kind of what we've seen for the last couple of minutes, or the last 15 minutes, I want to say, that they just haven't... They've gone for some movements, but a lot of them have not been successful. Like 2 ganks bottom lane, 2 ganks top, no real kills to show for it.
Yeah, and you're spot on, I think, with the whole counter initiation part. It's a really nice thing for Alliance to have, that they have hookshot and song and blink hex / impale, and then they even should the fight break out, and can they not avoid it, then Veno will get the ultimate off, because else for that to not happen, they have to put in everything on the Veno, and then the other heroes can counter initiate. So as long as Alliance are in a good position, I'd actually go as far as to say that it's pretty much impossible for Cloud9 to win a 5-on-5 team fight at this point. I think it's too late for that now. They missed the timing window. Now it's about finding 1 or 2 key ganks, especially if they can on Loda, get Roshan, and try to start sieging some towers. They still... Have they even damaged a tier 2 apart from bottom? Okay, so the top tower is on 900 and bottom is 900. Mid is untouched. They're not crossing the river anymore, apart from if they gank someone. Just doesn't look likely.
Yeah, they're definitely getting hedged in further and further onto their side of the map. And all of that fantastic warding that we were talking about for C9, when they had 2 wards over in the Radiant jungle, those both faded. Then they had another full duration on 2 wards over on this side of the map, spotting things out. And then past that point, those 2 pickoffs happened, and I don't think C9 have seen the Radiant side of the map since. The Naga Siren illusions have gone to work and kept the lanes out. Alliance have scurried into the available space and just taken all of the farm that they've been able to, and slowly established a ward line to prevent C9 ever getting back over the river. Speaking of map control and vision, we do have a gem picked up for AUI, so he's trying to make inroads back onto the other side of the map, but as you can see from the map position, C9 are just struggling to get out of their side of the map right now.
The one thing C9 have got going for them is that both EE and Fata are getting good farm, and I think especially the farm on Fata is important, because that is the one chance they have should a fight break out. If they get 1 or 2 good crits on the right targets, perhaps they can actually still win these fights. So Fata will definitely be crucial in that. The unfortunate thing is that the Daedalus hasn't really been bringing much just yet, and Loda now has the heart. So one-shotting the illusions, I think, is perhaps not even possible anymore, even with crits, or it's really cutting it close, and Loda will be getting more stats from leveling up, and maybe even considering a secondary heart in this game, or a Skadi. I wouldn't be too surprised, just tanking them up really hard. Evasion on the illusions, the butterfly's not that good this game, because it's mainly the Sleight of Fist as well as the... Yeah, well, mainly the Sleight of Fist, to be honest, killing them all.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you can talk about overwhelming odds being okay, but at most, it's sort of going to be 1 or 2 illusions close to a creep wave. In general, now that they're this tanky, Loda can send them off to farm camps and push lanes by themselves. So I don't think the AoE clear really matters for too much. And yeah, C9 kind of realize what's going on here. They're just going to pick up a Maelstrom over on EE, and any hero that can buy something to deal with these illusions is doing exactly that. I was also going to ask you if you thought that Fata could go for a BKB, or if he just needs to stack up damage, but looks like another Battle Fury is on the way, and I think he's just going to have to rely on his 2 supports with both of their 4 stabs to keep him safe this game.
Yeah, I think the one way for Cloud9 to win this, even come super late game, is a Rapier in him, but it's gonna be still hard, like you said, because Loda can just spread out the illusions. He doesn't have to send them in a bunch, and he's a very experienced Naga player, so he knows exactly how to use this hero to its maximal potential. And in theory, the teamfight potential when you have a Rapier, Daedalus, double Battle Fury on Ember Spirit is, of course, completely through the roof. It's insane, but what if you never even get the fight? That's what Naga can do. It's not out of the question that Alliance can end this game now without getting a kill. That's actually possible. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it could. They don't need to risk anything for the entirety of the match from now on.
No, And we've seen
Cloud9 has to
ridiculous.
force it.
Yeah, we've seen ridiculously disciplined split push out of Alliance as well. They will take 50 damage off of your 50 health off of your tier 3 and be like, "Yep, that's a win. Back off, wait for illusion cooldown. let's rinse repeat." And it's very slow to watch, but the discipline is fantastic. Lots of other teams, they run Naga strats, they get ahead against a lineup that has ways to deal with it in the late game. They get a little bit too far ahead of themselves, or they get picked off while they split push, and then they just immediately lose the game from there against, say, a lone druid pushing straight down mid, or a razor with refresher ags, something like that. But I think that's something that Alliance they're just so experienced with this style of play that I doubt it'll happen.
Yeah, this is the way to play the game for them. I cannot put a finger on Alliance's play right now, to be honest. I think they've played the last 20 minutes perfectly with their strategy. This is what they need to do. This is what they drafted for. They didn't have to play this passively necessarily if they won the early game, but they didn't. So this is how to play the game, and once again, it just leaves something to be desired for Cloud9, because it is incredibly difficult doing what they have to do, but they at least have to try it. They have to see that this is just draining them by the minute, and nothing good is going to come out of it. They may be hoping that Fata, with this insane cleave and ridiculous farm, can win the game late game. I just wouldn't agree with that. I don't see it happening. I would be very shocked if this game goes to an hour, if Cloud9 end up winning.
It's interesting you say that, because the one thing that I actually looked at before we went into this series is just average match length for these two teams. And the one that Dotabuff have is average match length over the last 90 days. And both of these teams are actually top 5 on average match length. I think Alliance are number 3 with something like 43 minutes as their average game time, and Cloud9 are a little bit further down, I think something like 39 minutes. But definitely expecting longer matches out of these two teams. But C9, you wanted them to make plays, and they're going in for it right now. They're going to try and focus Chessie first. Doesn't get anything off. He's being focused down. Boots of Travel coming into the Centaur from Envy, I think it was. Yeah, jumps in. Finger of Death from the trees for Misery. Pops the Skywrath Mage, absolutely no problem. And TP's out. That was some major style points from Misery there. But
And easily another victory for Alliance. I was surprised they even got a trade-off there. I think even if they lost the Veno only, just the fact that there's a 10 or 12-minute smoke cooldown being used for that one kill, which doesn't bring anything with it, is a victory in itself for Alliance. And then they even get a turnaround kill for Misery here. So, and all the while, Loda was doing damage to the middle tier 3, he was pushing out the other lanes. Cloud9 actually did manage to cross the river down the bottom lane, that won't last for long.
There was a very near call on the hook shot top lane, but it was just a little bit off from Bulldog. I don't even know if they wanted to necessarily jump in there, especially with Finger of Death on cooldown for Misery, but yeah, Bulldog ends up whiffing that one. I think he would have been fine, he could have just cogged and force-staffed away, but it missed by
I think that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted to try to force out a BKB from Envy, or just bait something, because I mean, he has to be getting impatient too, right?
Yeah.
At some point,
He's
you just
not
want
really
something
farming.
to happen where you're playing Clockwork.
Yeah, it's not a farming game. Clockwork is not a... Well, it is a farming game, but Clockwork is not a farming hero. I think he suits well in Naga Siren draft because he is so item independent, and that can be the one problem. I mean, it's a problem that people talked about a lot with Tinker, and it's something that's still kind of relevant with Naga Siren, though Naga players have become a lot more disciplined in trying to steal enemy farm and making sure that they're communicating with their team on which lanes that they are that they're focusing on at the time being. But Clockwork is just doesn't care. He doesn't want to spend 30 minutes ricing the jungle to get 2 or 3 tier 4 items. He's content with what he's got in his inventory right now, and Bulldog can just keep moving with Misery to try and find kills.
Yeah, slowly but steadily. Now the top tier 2 is deniable. Loda's going to send in 2 new illusions. He's going to spread them out nicely. One of them is fighting 3 heroes, the other one is trying to kite Fata. They will be getting the deny on this tower, of course, but at the end of the day, we can only talk about the same stuff so much, but it is all there is to it right now. It is pretty much very simple right now. Oh, here we go. Now there's something to talk about.
Chessie just gets bursted down. Fata still taking big damage. They've got the Poison Nova over onto him. Looks like he's going to end up being sent back. Misery also in some trouble. Will be slowed down and finished off. Double kill for Pi. Looked like Alliance were actually the ones jumping. Actually, no, I don't think they were the ones jumping in there, but C9 managed to get some pickoffs And
I think they were.
back to you go.
Misery opened with Blink Hex
Yeah?
on the line. He didn't have the Blink to get out again, so I'm pretty sure it was an
okay.
opening Blink. And, you know, you can completely understand the player mentalities, but honestly, it's just unnecessary. They might have thought they could get away with that because, of course, the combined damage between Lion and Venomancer with a Veil is kind of insane, but quick reactions from Cloud9 in counter-initiating, getting the heals off from Chen, and a couple of BKBs as well just kept them safe there. And if you want to go for a play like that as Alliance, you need to do it when there's collateral to be had. So if Loda was pushing the tier 2 at the same time, then you can say, okay, should this fight go wrong, we get closer to ending the game, but that was not the time for that engage. And good for Cloud9 to get these 2 kills, because this is, again, huge swings you get out of this in the new version, even though they're... Oh, well, they're technically the team that's ahead, so I guess it's kind of standard, to be honest. It's not much of a difference.
It's a very strange game situation we find ourselves in. C9 are actually leading by 25k experience and 7.5k net worth right now, so all of those gold swing benefits and everything else are actually going Alliance's way to finding pickoffs. And those deaths, you know, like on top lane, don't end up being too substantial. EE is just going as anti-Naga Siren with his build as he possibly can. He's got a Mjolnir to help clear out illusions. He's also picked up some Boots of Travel so he can match Split Push with Split Push and then rejoin his team if they ever manage to get into a good position on a tower, but Alliance are just being too disciplined with how they've been pushing in here for the time being. And C9 actually just heads straight into Roshan. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's... Oh, they might be getting a fight instead. But Loda's top, he does have Boots of Travel ready, so he can reinforce with his opening.
Envy's charging in on top of Chessie. Can he burst him down in time? Will actually be able to. BKB and Eye of the Storm used. Chessie just in a weird spot. We've got TP's coming in. That's Envy's Boots of Travel onto a creep. So he's trapped all the way bottom lane. Bone 7 is going to hold down the fort for the time being, but still getting ticked out a little bit by these illusions. Looks like the defense is going to be successful. Fada leaving a remnant behind is going to come up and help clear that out as well. C9 back into the pit to try and bring down Roshan again, but still just taking them an eternity. They finally got Fada turning up to do a little bit more heavy lifting, so it looks like it's going to come down, but that was just a weird engagement. Envy just kind of charged up and killed off Chessie. Oh, man.
It's again, it's like you said, they're playing a very, very safe kind of style in a game where I feel like a safe kind of style is not really warranted. They get scared off by a Clockwork Rocket. There are 3 heroes in the pit. They know Chessie is dead and his ultimate's on cooldown, and they still back off from this, which might have been their best chance of getting Roshan in the last 15 minutes. And now they just gave it away again. Rosh will heal up to full before they get the chance again, probably. And again, just... I don't know what to call it, indecisiveness from Cloud9. They seem like they're really not comfortable in the game, at least, and if they're not, then ban that freaking Naga.
Yeah, I feel like they just don't... There's been a lot of moments this game where C9 aren't seeing a clear line of play, where we've seen moments where 4 heroes will group up on mid lane, for example, and then it seems like the call comes out for everybody to rotate towards top or, you know, a different lane, and it's not the C9 efficiency that I'm really used to seeing. So I'm getting a lot of flashbacks in this game. The first round of flashbacks is the way that DK used to play Naga Siren with just Ice 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 and MMY always running around, MMY often on Lion, just trying to find pickoffs while, you know, burning farmed on Naga. And the other thing is that I wonder if we're going to see some Skywrath Mage dying solo to Naga Siren illusions this game. Hyladai is already struggling a little bit, and this isn't even with the Diffusal Blade on Loda. Though I don't even know if he's going to end up going for Diffu. We'll have to see.
Yeah, there's 2 choices right now for Loda, in my opinion. The Diffusal Blade is the combat-oriented one, where he wants to try to kill heroes, and the other one, now that he got the Butterfly to get the evasion push, I think we're looking at either secondary heart or Scotty, just to have more stats, hit harder against buildings, and have more tanky illusions. And I feel like at this point, whatever Loda picks doesn't really matter, so long as the fights don't happen. Then obviously the base pushing build will be better, but the fighting build can do it as well, can get the job done. So, how are Cloud9 looking as far as smokes go? I think they have one, yeah, they have one on the Skywrath. If they can get a pick-off with this one, and get something out of that, that could turn into something, as Fata actually does have the gold for the Rapier, and that's why they want the Roshan as well, I think. Then they're going to go for an all-in. I would say
Radiant's
hopefully
top
for them,
tower
because I think
is
that's the
under
best
attack.
chance they have. Get the Rapier up and go for the play. If he gets a second Daedalus, I can understand it, especially since they're kind of, like you said, a safe playing team, but for me the Rapier is the chance.
I feel like as soon as C9 start dying, especially if Fada dies, that's probably just the beginning of the end. We'll have rolling pickoffs, we'll have lanes pushed all the way up to the C9 base, and especially if they lose their gem as well, then they're, I don't know if they're ever recovering in map control. Aka is going to end up running straight into C9, and as I say that, does end up being Alliance who lose their gem, though... E, what are you doing? Are you coming over to hit jungle creeps while your team is going for Roshan? I don't know if he's been spotted. I think they did sweep through here earlier. He's just trying to keep people away from the pit. There's still a gem down here. Envy coming in, gets netted down. Cone 7 coming in for the assist. We've got the song coming out. Envy still with the BKB. The crit flies through and it just evaporates Bulldog. That isn't even Rapier picked up just yet for Fada. It looks like he is actually just going to be going for MKB instead. Misery a little bit further down in the trees, goes for the TP out, and is going to get it, so... Envy looked like he might get caught out, but his team was ready to back him up, and nothing untoward will end up happening. Chessie also trying to escape. We'll just be able to blink away, chopping down some Plague Wards to block himself in, and we'll be able to TP. So 2 casualties, again, in favor of C9. Roshan not taken, and they just charge out of the pit and go for kills.
MKB, okay,
Yeah.
so he wants to make sure he can hit the Naga, which makes sense too, but... Well, we'll see if it's going to be enough for Cloud9. At least they got themselves 2 kills there. The one thing that they struggle with a lot here with killing Roshan is, of course, the threat of Naga being there, stealing with Song of the Siren. And I think that's one of the... we haven't talked about that so much, or maybe not at all, and that might be the reason they're extremely hesitant, and even putting Eternal Envy, like you said, in this peculiar position here, just to make sure Naga doesn't come in and steal it. And they did force a fight, and they did get 2 kills, so that was okay, but... The Roche is still not down, and I think it's going to become more and more important now. It's actually very rare to see a 50-minute game without any Roshans taken. Mid lane, Misery, using Ghost Scepter. Even going to send the Ember back here.
No risks from C9. I think that's the big thing for them at the moment. EE also going to be picking up an MKB of his own, so... just continuing to itemize to deal with the illusions as much as possible. I think that's the only way that you can frame it right now for C9. And in fairness, that is pretty much the only thing that you have to deal with. We were talking about earlier how you can't really stop the Venomancer doing his thing, or if you are going to stop him, it's not because you picked up different items, just because you managed to pick him off at the start of the fight, and everybody else is just going to die to crit cleaves. Absolutely no problem. So it's just all about Loda. It's basically Loda versus Cloud9 right now, and he is putting on as much pressure as he possibly can. Even just going to Boots of Travel top lane and draw C9 away from the pit, where they were kind of loosely grouping up, keeping this bottom lane pushed out as well. Roshan is actually still fairly low, and Wild Wing's going to be keeping an eye on things, just to make sure that Alliance aren't sneaking in there.
Loda's going to use Song top for... just to do some damage mid, basically, with his illusions here. Pretty cheeky play, getting half a tower for the Song of the Siren. This is the point.
These damn illusions. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hardly any investment, only 40 seconds until the next song. This is perhaps a tiny window for C9 to try and go for Roshan while the Song of the Siren is down.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, that was probably what they were afraid of
Dire's middle
earlier.
tower is under attack.
But they've also got their base to worry about.
Roche is on third.
Dire's structures are fortified.
They kind of have to do it, but Loda will already be back in mid. He's reading the game very well right now with the movement. They will pick off Aki here with the dual mid. This is the tier 3 gone. Is there going to be any more? They get
Right
the
in the
Roche.
pit. Chessie jumps in, Cogs, Bulldog, there's the finger going out on Fada, but he's still alive. Is he actually going to tick out here? He's got a lethal dot, he grabbed the Aegis, but will end up being brought down. It's 3 for 1. 1 in the mid lane, 2 going down over in the pit, and Alliance have actually broken into the base! It's ranged barracks down, Loda! The Rat is succeeding, even some damage on the melee barracks. Tier 3 top, also about to go down to these illusions. And you said it, Alliance could win this game without getting another kill, and
They've got
they're
one.
actually very close. They got one.
Top where
They got
Lion
one.
got a finger off.
But that was it?
It was 5:13 when I said that. That's like 25 minutes ago.
This hero is
the game's about
objective
buildings,
based
not
Dota.
kills. It's being proven again.
Objective based Dota. I don't know. I think that's all I can say. That's got to be the mantra here for Loda. And okay, so let's do some theory crafting soon. What is your ideal 12-slotted Naga build? So you've obviously got Refresher on the Courier. Do you have an extra Butterfly to put on your illusion so they have more damage for hitting base? Do you have a crit at all to summon crit illusions and only have some illusions be radiance? What's the build?
See you. Okay, so how sick are you? Like, as a player, can you...
You are Gosu, you know,
you are
StarCraft
absolutely insane.
2, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because then I think the best way of doing it might be... You need a Kyros in your build, so that one of the illusions has the Kyros minus armor aura.
Okay.
Then you use that either with the Manta or the Mirror Image. I guess you use it with Manta to have least illusions that have the Kyros, because it's only effective for the aura. Then the rest of the illusions need to not have Radiance and not have Diffusal. I think you get 2, if not 3 butterflies together with the heart, or maybe you get 2 hearts, 2 butterflies, or 2 butterflies, heart Skadi, or something like that. And you might even drop the Manta and pick up something like a 3rd butterfly. So like Boots of Travel, triple butterfly. Oh, Song?
Oh, Envy. Is he too fast? Maybe. He's about to get Song. AUI's coming in as well with the Force Staff and a potential send back. There's the BKB from the Razor. There's a Boots of Travel TP coming in as well from Fada. Ake will not be able to steal the creep. Wouldn't have even mattered. EE being focused. It's just illusions. They try and heal him up and send him home, but it's not going to work. And Fada's also being jumped. Double kill for Loda. I don't know what C9 were planning. It looks like AUI might also end up losing his life. Does manage to TP out. Net not quite there in time from Loda. But what was that fight from C9? I thought they were just gonna send back the Razor and call it a day, but didn't happen.
It's hard to keep your composure in this kind of game. At some point, you're gonna make a mistake like that. They're reaching the point of desperation where like, okay, we have to make something happen. They go in. They know Song is down. They feel like this is their best chance of taking a fight, and it's a pretty big deal that the Song was wasted. But the opener just not there, not good enough. They end up losing Razor, forcing him to buy back. They're also going to lose the tier 2. They lost Fata as well, who fortunately for them did not have a Rapier yet. I'm still thinking of that as his next item. I think you sell the phase boots now and buy a Rapier, and then you just go all in. Like, and it's so crazy. I feel like there's no other hero in the game that gives these kind of games where like 40,000 experience and 14,000 gold behind, and you're leading the game.
Oh no, it's ridiculous.
To me, Naga is the only hero in the game who does that.
Well, it's funny as well because we talked about the impact of all of these, you know, all the comeback mechanics and everything else, and it all sort of just favors the Naga. She's huge, but technically her team is behind on the metrics. So
really far behind.
Yeah, really far behind on the metrics. So they're basically worth nothing, and any pickoff that you get on C9 is actually furthering your position. I mean, eventually you might get back to even, but C9's efficiency is almost coming back to bite them because the only person that whose net worth really matters all that much from this point forward is Loda's, at least, you know, as far as Alliance go. I mean, Ake is still just wandering around with just Treads and Aghanim Scepter. He does have another 2k gold on top of that, but he's just been doing all the warding and all the support business. Loda's just gonna Song TP out.
Oh he gets a couple hits on the top. That was interesting. It looked like, I was thinking, okay, is he actually going to try for Envy here one-on-one? He Songs, he has like 2 illusions with 5 seconds left on them in the top lane, and then he TP's out. So basically just, lack of better way of putting it, he's basically getting inside Envy's head right now. It's just bothering him. It's just poking him with a stick all the time until...
Misery, is all of this patience going to pay off? Envy's down here bottom lane, and he's been by himself for a lot of this game, but he kind of needs to be able to Boots of Travel into his team. He's going to say that he's content with bottom lane for now, and everybody on C9 is just on their way mid. Bottom lane's not in a great position for Alliance. They still have some pushing to do, and that's probably the least bothersome lane for C9 since they do have a tier 3 and a glyph available on that lane. So Alliance have slipped a little bit on the lane position, and C9 do manage to come forward and pick up this tier 2 tower. There's a jump in duel from Bone 7, looking for Misery here. Can Admiral Bulldog do anything to stop this? No, not even a stun from the hookshot available to do anything there. Lotus coming in, looking for Envy on mid lane, but AUI, ever faithful, will be sticking right nearby him, so Envy feeling okay. Does need to be careful. Sendback can, of course, be purged now, so that's always the risk against the Naga Siren. And Fata He jumped in on top of Chessie, but the Song's going to disengage this fight Alliance. They don't have the Lion up to jump in and hex down the Ember Spirit, so he's going to be okay.
This is a pretty good opportunity, to be honest, for Cloud9. They found one opening after these 30 minutes of basically being strangled on their side of the map. They finally
They're at the base.
found a way to get across the river with 5 heroes.
They're at the base with Eye of the Storm. There is a glyph for Alliance, so they're definitely going to get their Lion back. But, yeah, they've managed to find themselves a pretty good position on the lanes, and they're just going to try for it here. Eye of the Storm going out. High ground they will go. They will, at the very least, probably force out the glyph here. He needs to be so careful with those plays. Because if he gets purged by the Diffusal Blade, he's just going to die. I don't know about these send-back plays from C9. It's not the Clink's Chen patch that they were playing before.
One cool sendback they can do is with Ember, who can obviously just come back in the fight again, but
yeah.
If you send out the Razor and he has to come in with Boots of Travel, you have to be really careful, because whatever you're porting on could be killed within the blink of an eye. I think Misery won't even hesitate to use Finger of Death on whatever you're TPing in on, because if you stop that TP, you're outnumbering the enemy and you win the fight. It's worth using an ultimate like that for that to happen, so... Well, Alliance did hold the base. If you noticed how Loda used the illusions, he just sends out one at a time, slowly draining, slowly using Riptide a couple of times, and they kill off these illusions very quickly, but when he sends them one after the other and holds the creep wave, it doesn't matter.
One auto attack, 2 auto attacks, couple of misses. Yeah, he's still getting incremental damage. Also worth pointing out, Loda has 10k, 11k net worth, 11k gold. Sorry, not net worth. He's far surpassed that. And I don't know, Sid. I think we were joking a little bit when we theory crafted about the 12 slot Naga, but could definitely happen this game. And we've also got a hex on Chen as we pass the hour mark, just in case anybody was doubtful about what kind of position we find ourselves in.
That's
right
good.
now.
That can remove an illusion.
Yes. I'm on board with that.
At this point, you have to start looking
Yeah.
at these kind of things that could make a difference. He's actually did just do that in the mid lane. He hexed an illusion right there. So
This is where they wish they had
feel like
Enchantress
Cloud9
instead. Just take the illusions.
Yeah. That would have been way better for them in this scenario. This is when Enchantress would have been simply just a better hero than Chen at this point in the game in general. Even with farm, she can do a lot of damage as well. She's not that easy for the Naga to kill because of her passive, untouchable, etc. But I like the fact that Cloud9 are building MKBs on their heroes like this. All 3 of them now able to kill off the illusions. It shows that they understand the problem, but the fact remains they should have perhaps, or they should have definitely tried to avoid getting in this position. But at least with what they have to deal with now, I feel like they're making the right calls. Still waiting on the Rapier. That's my final suggestion for Cloud9 that they haven't got right now. Hex on both Skyroth and Chen I think is great. The MKBs, they are able to kill these Illus. But, like you said, what when Loda gets 12 slots? If they can deal with 6, can they deal with the double set of illusions with the Refresher Orb? Can they deal with, perhaps, what if Loda gets a secondary heart and actually even sells the Butterfly just because the evasion isn't really worth much? Just makes them tankier with a Scotty, I think is even the better choice. Scotty instead of Diffusal, Heart instead of Radiance, He has quite a few options right now that will make him even stronger.
Yeah, they have to find another one of those opportunities. They've found Chessie top. Can they burst him down before this TP? Yes. Paladai is going to be able to pick himself up a dominating streak. They still had a Hex ready to cancel that one anyway. So it's going to be a nice little pick-off for them. And Alliance need to be careful. We saw their lane position slip a little bit earlier, and C9 are slowly but surely also making progress of their own. Once they bring down all the tier 2s, that's when we're starting to get into a position where C9 could be one successful team fight away from ending the game. Right now, it's a pretty big ask because there's still Glyph available and there's still no lanes of racks taken. So if they were going to win the game off of one fight, they would have to charge mid and get to the tier 4s as well. But they've at least now opened themselves the opportunity where if they win a really big fight, they can actually do something with it and take multiple lanes of racks. And we could even see a refresher orb for EE before too long, just to that end. But actually, yeah, Satanic for him coming out. It's all about the right click. All about the survivability.
Yeah, very unusual item to get on Razor, especially because your lifesteal doesn't work when you're hitting illusions. So it's...
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider this the right choice. I think there's better ideas. I think the refresher you said is good. I think Maybe even something like a butterfly, just to evade the illusion attacks and just give him more attack speed and damage. I think would have been a better call. I'm wondering what the reasoning is. Of course, you get a lot of health from Satanic, but you can be in the middle of a fight, use that Satanic and hit illusions 4 times. You've used your entire Satanic on trying to find the right target, and then your lifesteal is gone. There it is.
Dyer's bottom
7th item for
tower is
Loda.
under attack.
The Refresher Orb. He still has 8k gold, so he could buy even an 8th right now if he wanted to. Looks like he's heading toward the secret shop. Meanwhile, split pushing the top lane
barracks are under
a
attack.
little bit. No, he just wants the bounty rune, because why not?
Is this the second
gonna
Roshan of
give
the
it to
game?
Chess.
Let's check it. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
just
it
the
is.
second Roshan of the game. We had so much posturing on the first Roshan, and we had, I think, almost 5 or 6 attempts from C9. There was the one attempt earlier where they brought in a bunch of Chen creeps and just the Razor and didn't kill
Dyer's
it.
top
And then there were
barracks are under
3 or 4
attack.
more of those. And then they finally committed and got that one, and then they immediately lost the Aegis on the Ember Spear, which is definitely not the play that they were hoping for there. But once again, Cloud9 will get cold feet, head into the pit, but back themselves out. I think also notably their Loda was off the map, so they were a little bit worried that he'd Boots of Traveled to some Enchantress creep that's just outside of vision, and he was ready to song them. What?
Yeah.
It could very well happen.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is that we're starting to theorycraft about these things, and if the players are thinking about this while playing the game, it's really a lot of things to process at once. But you're right, a play like that can win the game right now. Just a simple Enchantress creep sent in behind the enemy lines or something like that could make a huge difference. So, well, Alliance will do...
Dyer's top
No,
barracks
there's
are
backdoor
under
protection.
attack.
He still dealt 2 damage to the top racks. Didn't heal completely, so if he does that
Progress.
another 360 times, he will get this Rex. So we're looking at about 120 minutes of that, then he'll get the top range. So why did that not heal up to full? Alright, let me see again. 720. Oh, no.
We don't get to find out.
Didn't get to.
We'll keep an eye on it.
I'm pretty sure it was 722 before he hit it. Now it's 720, so... Even the bug's working against C9 here. The 2 health. Could you imagine losing a game on 2 health?
I don't know. 2 health on your ranged racks. I don't know if that's going to be the difference maker here, but we shall see. We're past 65 minutes, and what else have we
Dyer's
got going on? I think
middle
C9 are just
barracks
trying to
are
farm like MKB, BKB, Mjolnir on every core. We've got the
There we
Necro
go,
3 coming out
Necro
for Loda now, so the Theorycraft build is well and truly underway, and C9 will again make a slightly bold move as they make their way down.
Gonna
mid
use
lane.
the Envy build against Envy. How fitting. He's just missing the BKB, which Envy liked to get as well as his super slotted Naga. I don't know what to call it. I think he never had 12 items. I think Envy has had 9, maybe 10 once.
Oh, the Boots of Travel, they're all coming in on top of this random creep. Oh, it wasn't Alliance who did it, it was actually C9. They get the pick off on the Lion. This creep is all the way over here
Top
on
lane
this side of the
highlight
map.
eye.
Oh,
He's in a
boy.
lot of trouble. No, Loda not pursuing with the ensnare here. Instead damaging the racks, let's see. Now they're 714. 713. 712. He dealt 8 damage again against backdoor protection. Well, that was, like, how much did he deal last time? 2? So this was 4 times as effective as his last push. This might buy them, like...
Hook on Envy, there's the BKB, 4 staff away. That's all they wanted here. They're still gonna wait a couple of seconds for his Boots of Travel to cool down. Ake's gonna poke away with a couple of impetus shots. Loda's come in, EE trying to find something to heal off, but Bulldog's got another hook shot. And that's just a mega kill streak for Loda. Envy completely caught out on bottom lane, and he only needed a couple of extra seconds to get a Boots to get a BKB.
Look at that XP
TP
change
out.
from 1 kill.
Oh, I need to show the right recap.
Look at it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, when you're this far behind in experience, it doesn't take much. They each got 1,000 XP from that 1 kill on Envy right there.
When you're this far behind, in air quotes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
For me.
This game is getting silly. The other thing that's really, well, the other thing that was really silly is that Ake had almost his entire team's TP scrolls in his inventory. He's gotten rid of Miseries now, but before he had his own TPs, Chessie's TPs,
sprites are with
and
us.
the Lion's TPs, all ready to go. So he was just forming a little collection there. He's also got 6k gold, for anybody wondering about that. Let's switch it over to current gold just so people can get an idea of the ridiculous numbers we have this game. We've got 10.8k on Fada, and yeah, this game is just getting silly at this point.
Dire's top barracks are under attack.
I'm waiting. Okay, there we go. Loda is now planning his assault top. He's going to use the Necro Book. Currently hanging out with the Refresher as well. He doesn't have much mana, though, for this. I don't think he can pull off his combo. I think he realizes now, damn it, I didn't have the mana. And well, he did not
Dire's
deal any
bottom
damage to the
tower
top
is
barracks,
under
unfortunately. Still on 704, but a little bit of a Necro push bottom. Dealt about 200 damage to that tower, I think. So, successful push from Alliance. Oh, there's a hook shot.
In. They're looking for Fada. We've got some action happening. There's a duel over on a Misery. He's going to be bursting down right at the start. Chessie drops the Poison Nova. They've actually managed to find the kill on the Ember Spirit. Envy does not want to buy back. He's just about to respawn, making his way back in now. Glyphs being used. They've bought back on the Ember. That's big. If Fada goes down again, then that could just be game over. Melee barracks.
Bottom lane.
Oh, the illusion. It's still dodging! How is that happening?
50 damage. And the top ranged barracks actually taking about 500 here. So Alliance forcing a buyback, doing damage, and only losing Lion for it.
Do you have your pen and paper out, Sin? Are you keeping track of all the damage amounts?
I feel like I have so little to keep track of right now that it's actually manageable.
I think we need a building damage recap for a game like this.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think that's something that we need to see. We've got a Necro 3 over on Chessie. We haven't talked about items for a little bit, so let's check if we have anything interesting. We've got a Hex over on the Enchantress. Misery has picked up some Boots of Travel. We've got that aforementioned Necro 3 on Chessie. Bulldog has also picked up some BOTs, and he's going to start working in towards another Necro Book. So both teams with some very similar item builds. Lots of Boots of Travel. We've got Necro Books as the goal for Alliance, and C9 still working on those Mjolnirs, MKBs, and anything that they can possibly cobble together to deal with illusions. Also Boots of Travel to boot, as we were talking about all the Chen and Enchantress creep shenanigans. Oh, and Envy gets stranded top lane. His creep died. Why didn't he just TP to the building? Why did he TP to the creep? Okay, I think it's fine, but I know that Alliance saw that. Okay, Envy gets back to the base.
Flooding it to the limit here.
Dire's top barracks has
Oh,
fallen.
the top
Bone 7 stunned. Hookshot comes in. Bone 7 still chain stunned. Gets his blade mail off. Nobody on Alliance following up.
I like the Blink Dagger on Bulldog a lot, by the way, in this kind of game. Your ability to hookshot in, blink out, or to blink cog,
Just use
should
it
you
as a
miss your
stun.
hook, or gives a lot of functionality here on the Clockwork build.
Dire's
So
bottom
this is a
tower
cool
is
choice,
under
and I
attack.
think it could make a really big difference in the upcoming fight if he gets a couple of clutch blinks off, or just one, probably, most likely. But
Is this Dota?
It's a
Is
very
this
nice
even
item.
Dota anymore? Sin? That's my question. This is.
it is very much.
This is not your.
It is defense
Of the
Ancients
Ancients.
for Cloud9.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Sin. That is
This is the
exactly
most-
what's happening.
The most emphasis on the D you'll see in a Dota game in the next few days, I think.
Or the next game. You know, the next game could very well be this exact
I
setup.
would be very surprised if
who had
Naga
first-
and Terrorblade aren't banned.
Who had first ban this game? I'm trying to think. It was first pick for Alliance, so it was first ban
Yeah.
for C9, right? So I'm just trying to think about how things are going to change for the next one. They've got a hook shot on AUI, who is for some reason all the way over here planting wards, and he's force-staffed himself in. That was
He doesn't have buyback.
Envy's charging in here. Ake's gonna drop a Hex onto him. Can they get anything off? There's the duel. They do manage to get some more damage on the Legion Commander, but it's just a diversion. It's your base that you need to be worried about, C9. Loda's back here. We've got the Rapier picked up. We're getting to the pointy end of this match right now. Bone 7 coming in, clearing out some illusions. Misery still top lane. Chessie pushing in bot, as Bulldog continues to use Hookshot to clear creep waves. And I may have spoken too soon. Nothing is happening.
It's like, it's funny to see just the fact that Bone 7 even moves forward remotely close to Loda triggers the song. He's not taking any risks here, because why would he? It's just funny to see when you see the map, there's like no risk whatsoever of him dying. And he still uses the song because he doesn't know what's going on. But I was going to get at, listen, if Bone 7 wins like 500 duels, right? Or, no, not that
So
many.
are we talking
50,
about a 90-minute
right?
game now, Sin? Is this where the theory crafting is going?
You mean 90 minutes in addition to these 73?
Yeah,
Probably.
exactly, right?
He's going to need to win 50 duels, right? Then he gets like 1,000 base damage. Then he can start almost... If he gets the Daedalus, maybe he can one-shot Illusions.
If he has that much damage, I think he buys the Battle Fury. I know that you said, you know, probably not going to buy a Battle Fury on the Legion Commander,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
we're talking about one-shotting creep waves at that point. I think that's too good to pass up.
But, well, Fata did get the Rapier now, so he's pretty much at full build. There's nothing he can really replace anymore on the Ember that gives him more efficiency. You could...
Backup Rapiers?
I think you still want to keep the Battle Fury, to be honest, more than a second Rapier. Or, no, since you have the MKB, you want a second Rapier. So Battle Fury for second Rapier, and I think he's full of 6 slotted and can't really replace anything. So it's about time to give the farm to the other heroes. Especially the Legion Commander still has quite a bit of inventory to be filled out.
So does he get backup Rapiers? If he manages to get buyback up again and he finds himself on a ton of gold, do you think he just leave some Rapiers on a courier in the fountain, and if he has to buy back, he can stock up again? We've definitely seen it happen. It's not very common, but
I think everything is within the realm of possibility for this game.
I would definitely
I
agree.
wouldn't be surprised if it goes beyond 100 at this rate.
I want to see Loda hit 50k
for
net
Alliance
worth.
to end it, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. There's nothing about this game that is easy for Alliance to push up onto the high ground, and like we were saying earlier, C9 kind of found some opportunities to lay the groundwork to win this game themselves. If Alliance charge in, everybody dies, they lose some more pickoffs while buying back, that's just it. You know, 10k gold does not buy you 3 or 4 buybacks anymore. And that was very quickly fixed a long time ago, but that means that Loda's only got so many lives and actually gets spotted out here by Bone. There's a duel, can they burst him? Well, there you go, 100 seconds dead, he's just gonna buy back immediately. And I feel like I jinxed him.
Good job. Someone had to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
You're carrying the action in this game right there with a big time jinx. So, well, if they kill Loda again, the game is over. If they don't within the next 6 minutes, we're back to square one. So we'll see if Cloud9 can manage. They did not use a smoke for that gank, so I think this is like the biggest opening they've had in no kidding the last 50 minutes. That one kill and the buyback makes a huge difference. And I like that Loda bought back, because if he didn't, he would have lost the map control. He has to keep pushing out lanes to try and prevent Cloud9 from making anything out of this kill. But that was really big.
Bulldog with the hook blinks onto creeps just to push out these waves along with the rocket flare. He's become a very long-range hero at this stage. Oh, Ake as well. Looks like he's next to be caught. Bone 7 on point with the duels, finding these pickoffs.
Those 50 duels are not out of the question. We're getting there. Just a minute.
We're making progress. Are you keeping track, Sind?
Yeah, 2 so far. So 48 to go. They have to triple their kills, but then they're there. So...
It's fine.
Oh, what's being bought now? Is there any sort of gold flowing in? So Fasa has 10k that he can't really use, apart from if he wants a second Rapier. Razor with 7k. Envy is pretty much fully stocked as well on items here, but still surprised to see the Satanic, to be honest. Hasn't really gained anything from it. If he wants to push lanes faster, there are better choices. If he wants to fight better, probably also better choices. Overall, I don't think he needs to be worried about dying when he's in the BKB. If he is, in this kind of game, maybe a heart would even be better than the Satanic here, but...
I feel like it's definitely courier refresher time.
Maybe Daedalus wouldn't be too bad. Focus on the right clicks. You have the MKB, hit hard.
Yeah, I guess, it's tough. Do you think that if they kill Loda, I guess the game is just over, right? You don't need double Eye of the Storm to clean out the 2 lanes of racks or clean out the base. If Loda's dead, without buyback available, then Loda's dead, and that's probably it. So I guess you focus on keeping the lanes pressured as much as you can, and the fights and the pickoffs that you can get. So I guess maybe that's where the Daedalus and everything else is the right choice, because he just kind of needs to... That's the first step. I don't think C9 can necessarily be planning for if Alliance, or when Alliance makes a mistake. They have to try and force this game out of Alliance if they can. But we'll see. It's still definitely anybody's game.
They crossed the river top lane. Envy is getting some dough and backing off because here comes the Naga illusion. Running in circles, kind of trying. Oh, he finds Bone 7 as well. Look at the overwhelming odds, how much damage that does to that illusion. It's pretty crazy.
Did he force staff this creep up here? He did. You can see where the trees were cut down. So he's just using his creeps as wards. The Wild Wing actually has pretty good day-night vision from what I remember. So this is C9's answer to maintaining vision over the Roshan pit. They've got a Wild Wing on the high ground, and he's tornadoing inside the pit. I could only give AUI a round of applause for that one.
And right when the tornado ends, they send in a remnant. Constant coverage of the Roche pit. Alliance. Pushing out all the lanes again, but it looks like Loda's impact is diminished a little bit. He's not pushing as hard, and just the fact that they ganked him once and got the lanes pushed out a little bit means Loda has to do some work again. And they're doing whatever they can to kill off these Illus fast. Come on, duel the Illu Bone. Ah. Bet he wanted to.
And every item at this point for Loda is not really a big deal. It's a marginal increase at best. You're talking about when you add, a butterfly and a heart to your primary inventory, that is really good value for money. Every gold spent is increasing your effectiveness by a lot. At this stage, he's adding items that he's barely using to a courier that's sitting on the side of the map. Game-changing items all the same. Game-changing items all the same. The Refresher Sleep is one of the most overpowered late-game, things in all of Dota. But still, we have to consider what these gold totals actually start meaning. And this is where all these hexes on supports and everything else are the biggest deal. It's like Hex and Force Staff are just core items now for almost every support in this game. Force Staff to save your team from their hexes, and hexes to kill their cores.
Well, what do Alliance do at this point? I still feel like Loda could itemize better now. For me, this is not the optimal build, but
Diffusal isn't
at the
doing
same time,
anything at the moment, really.
No, I feel like the Diffusal... Oh, top lane, Misery. Found a kill and got out. The gems on the ground, I think they're just going to pick that up with Loda's Courier if he gets the chance to fly down, but obviously doesn't want to expose it right now. It's a very risky play.
We got the C9 Courier coming out as well. Is the C9 Courier going to try and scout the... in comes the song. They're looking for Envy. Time to switch it to buyback status in case anything actually happens. Fada lurking on the edge, looking for that side of Fist. Envy's decided to go straight in. Pops the BKB. They don't manage to catch anybody. In the meantime, bottom lane Plague Wards do manage to bring down the tier 3 along with some extra help. Is it actually... What else is going on here now? Chessie just jumping
These
at
two siege creeps are doing a lot of damage. Surprising to see Bone let them live this long. Now he's finally going to switch over to them as the last target here, but they got the tower, about 300 damage on the melee racks, about 100 on the range. And, well... So here's the problem for Alliance, right? They're running out of range tracks to take at this point, and the range tracks don't mean anything. At this point in the game, it's mega creeps or nothing, almost. So the racks they've taken kind of don't mean anything, apart from that the waves push a little bit better, but he's already got his hero doing that, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Honestly, can he get a melee? That's the question.
Yeah. Honestly, it feels like... It almost feels like Ancient or Bust, actually.
I mean, good.
C9 could actually just sit here for a very long time, still holding off waves of mega creeps. I think they would be perfectly capable. We've got a Shadow Blade picked up for Bone 7 so that he can go and hunt Misery. Does manage to find the Lions. Sin chalk another one up on the dual counter. We are getting there.
Yep, that's 3. He's now at a bonus 186 damage.
He's pretty
I
scary.
wonder if there's like a limit to how much dual damage you can get if it's running like 32-bit numbers in this game, so you can't get beyond that.
I don't think he's
still
going to
be like 2 billion. That's a lot.
I don't think he's going to overflow it. I think we'll be okay. I know that the display on health
goes back to 0 damage. Oh, he gets hexed in
integer overflow. That's Oh well. Fada is being hooked. Is he going to go down? Hand of God BKB jumps himself out. We've got Envy jumping in. Can they kill this creep in time? No, there's a hex on a Chessie being right-clicked down, silenced up as well. There's the duel.
4.
Shock another one up.
Incoming.
Do you feel like... I feel like I'm just watching the same 5 minutes on repeat over and over. But C9 are getting more pickoffs. This is just the permanent highlight reel. But C9 are getting pickoffs. I like this Shadowblade. Oh, it's the illusions and the Necrobooks. They forced the glyph. Can C9 hold the line?
Get this one.
Oh, is it gonna happen? Oh, he gets it.
He even pings it. Guys, I got it. Now we just need to get the hard part, which is the melee.
Oh, hey, we got a fight recap.
Progress being made.
Very slow progress.
Dire's bottom barracks are under attack.
Lots of boots of travel. How many people don't have boots of travel? Ake doesn't have boots of travel, and Skywrath and Chen don't have boots of travel.
Yeah.
So there you go. Ethereal Blade picked up for Misery, so he is just looking for that one-shot burst. And how much is he actually... He's gonna do a lot of damage here.
Oh, top lane?
Ooh,
they might have found the courier here. Envy will...
He might just...
Oh,
can
no,
he
they
scat
haven't
with
seen it.
Plasma
It's
Field?
actually the courier seeing them. Now that's unfortunate.
They're going for these cheeky plays. I mean, we talked about it a long time ago, that TPing onto a hidden creep. Loda getting dueled, Bone 7, making the plays happen here. There's also a Hex Highlight Die in at just the right time. And there you go. There's the buyback.
Yep, that was 5 duels, right? Oh, there's a Dagon being made by Venno. This is a good choice from Jesse. I like this a lot. He has the Veil to amp up the magic damage, and then with the Dagon he can finish someone off. I think Alliance are realizing at this point that they've bought so much time with Loda, but they're probably not going to win the game anymore without farming the other heroes and having a fight break out. Yeah. It seems unlikely with how it's gone that Alliance, either they need to trick Cloud9 into a position where they get the racks for free, or they will have to fight for them. And if they can burst down a target during the Hex like this, that can make the difference. They also have the E-Blade on Misery, so even another amp. This Dagon and this Finger of Death, as well as Misery's 22 sentries, are going to deal a lot of damage.
Clearly the play is to... You bait Loda, and then you... As they jump him, you somehow save him. I don't know, that part of the plan is a little bit sketchy. Then he songs their entire team twice while sending all of his illusions and Necro Creeps towards the enemy base, as everybody else on Alliance TPs to the hidden creep and takes the melee racks. Other than that, I don't know what we could see here. I mean, Alliance are itemizing for more pickoff, so I think if Jesse finishes up this Dagon 5, if he and Misery coordinate it just right, I think they can blow up most heroes on C9. Even I think the Ember Spirit. Razors may be a little bit out of range, as is the Legion, and as I say that, speaking of Legion, 1-7's finding pickoffs. Sentry Ward goes down. BKB, however, too fast. He's going to be able to TP out.
Surprised Misery didn't open with the Hex there. That's a very uncharacteristic play. Could have Hexed Bone 7, then E-Bladed Finger, and then Earth Spike, and hopefully that would have been enough. Or at least get a couple hits in first and then do
Envy,
it. Top
you
lane,
get caught as
Envy,
well.
oh, he's
Here's the Hex. There's the Dagon. Can he get out of here? He's got the Satanic. It's not really doing anything for him. Tries to pop the Flutter as well, just to get the move speed.
They used Diffusal.
There he goes.
Loda used Diffusal. It's down to 6 charges. Been used twice since he got it 50 minutes ago, or 40. Wasn't really necessary there though, so kind of still underwhelming.
I have seen Loda before try.
That was
and
another
buy.
duel by Bone, right? That's 6.
Yeah.
6 wins. He's going for the Shadow Blade. He's like a silent assassin now. He's playing Stealth Assassin Legion Commander, basically.
It's funny how good Shadowblade is in the late game. Like, just when the enemy team is not at all grouped up, when they're split pushing like this. The response from Misery was to buy 24 Sentry Wards. So... no, I'm not even kidding, Sin. You look at his inventory.
I know,
right
I saw it.
24 Sentry Wards. It sounds absurd to say, but yeah, the response from Misery was to buy 24 Sentry Wards, and now he's placing them everywhere that he can to prevent these pickoffs. But an
Wait,
item...
Klaus is buying something.
No.
He's buying Refresher Orb on Ember.
Is he just doing it so he can get
Does not refresh
BKBs?
buyback.
Back-to-back BKBs, I guess? He's still got a 9-second BKB, in fact.
I suppose so, or
I think that's the only
travel
thing.
twice or something like that. I mean, it's a good item on every hero in super late game, but Ember, it's the first for me, I think. I have never seen an Ember get this item before. We're making records this game.
We are making history this game. Yeah, there's no doubt. Envy's actually put his BKB over on the Courier. He's got his Daedalus in his inventory right now. I don't know if we pointed that one out. So, also, how are our racks looking? 1500 out of 1500, 1500 out of 1500, and I'll give you one guess about bottom lane soon. How much health do you think bottom racks is on?
1500.
Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right every time, Sind.
I have to admit, I
Dire's
cheated. I
courier
checked it
has been
first.
killed.
I wasn't sure.
Okay, which courier was that?
The Dire Courier? I have no idea where or
Which
how it
of the
died. I
Dire
don't know what was on
Courier?
it. Misery got the creep. He found it with a sentry ward. He placed it, and then he fingered and E-bladed the Wildkin.
Illusion.
So progress being made for Alliance in terms of map control here as well. And then he's going to go and suck off another Wildkin here. So basically just kind of a... what do you call that? Birdophobic? Now it's called that. Getting rid of all the poultry in the game.
He is wiping them off the face of the earth. In a very suggestive way. Fingering and sucking is his way through the wildwing population of the map. Oh, we're losing it,
Oh,
Sind.
Loda's been
Keep it
surpassed in
together.
net worth. This just
By
in.
Fada.
Ember is number 1. By 300.
It doesn't matter. I think the courier that died was the one that was carrying the beginnings of Fada's refresher. It had about 3475 or something gold on it at that point, so there you go. Alliance, head into the pit. This is
Roche.
Is this still Roche on number 2?
This is another big bird when you look at it. He's got wings too, so Misery's like going for the prize here. But that bird was a little bit too big. He's starting to hit really hard, Roshan, as well. 15 armor, 285 damage. Slam probably deals like 1,000 at this point. And instead they're gonna sacrifice a TP scroll to him and leave him alone. No, they're still putting Plague Wards, slowly.
Keeping him
Is
distracted.
he actually damaging Roche like this? Not really, no.
No,
He's out healing
he's
it.
not. He's not dipping below 14.7. So, yeah, I don't think so. Farm continues. Bone 7 has picked up an Eagle Song. Okay, so I'm guessing just B-Fly. It's not bad. Honestly, it's not bad on Strength Heroes. It's good damage. Gives you evasion. Gives you attack speed. It's weird, but I don't know what else he would be going for here. I don't know if E-Blade is particularly good for him at this point.
For which hero?
For the Legion Commander, who has an Eagle Song.
Why is he getting an Eagle Song?
I don't know. I honestly think it's for B-Fly. I think at this stage it's just strictly
It
better.
has to be a butterfly. It's just a kind of an odd choice, I feel like, but maybe it's the best one. Perhaps it's the most EHP he can get right now, since Loda doesn't have an MKB and
It's lots
probably
of
won't
armor
ever
as
get
well.
one.
It's lots of armor as well. You
Yeah.
have to keep that in mind. That's why
That's true. The
Butterfly
attack
is
speed
so
also
amazing.
isn't half bad when you have this much damage. So it's kind of a nice choice by Bone, I think, actually. Might be the best one he could get when you think about it, but yeah. Alternatively, dual still purges, right? It doesn't remove
don't.
passives, but you can still... So you could E-Blade and then dual, technically, I guess, right? And then you would remove the E-Blade?
What, so you're using it just for the nuke?
I'm not sure. That's
No,
also really strange. I am
Yeah,
looking for some sort of analysis here. It's pretty hard to
No,
find
I
it. It's
think-
probably a butterfly. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be Butterfly. I mean, to draw a comparison, Butterfly is amazing on Tiny for all the reasons that we mentioned. You know, it gives you attack speed, gives you damage, gives you survivability through evasion, and it gives you some pretty good armor. And Bone's armor isn't actually that impressive at this stage of the game. 15 armor, 91 minutes into the game is a bit weird. Neither team wants to move. Bottom Rax has lost some health. Top Rax is still full. Mid Rax has actually lost a little bit of health as well, but that 5 regen a second is...
Shadow Blade
Taking it
out by
back up.
Bone. Oh, he's going to get spotted by Sentry Ward. Oh, he still
It doesn't
has
matter, still gets Bulldog. Misty Flare coming in.
it. 7 duels.
His Blink Dagger pickoff's working out. Misery trying to TP in there, but
Nice.
gonna work
He used
out.
the Flutter as well on Butterfly. That's cool to see. That's the first time I think I've seen that used in a competitive game. So, of course, the new functionality for Butterfly where you sacrifice the evasion for an 8 seconds of 20% move speed. So, nicely done.
and has a 35-second cooldown for anybody who's not staying 100% on top of it. I have seen... First game of this patch where I bought a Butterfly, I completely forgot the ability existed, and I think I've also seen players doing the same thing, but they're kind of realizing now. I know that every single time I've seen Envy buy it, he's definitely been making use of it. another thing to have on cooldown and potentially refresh.
Oh, bottom lane. They're gonna
misclick on
initiate.
the hex.
Oh, he.
Highlight
It's a
die.
big pig. It's because it's a mega range creep. Then the pig is also bigger on the hex. So I don't know if they would have got that kill anyway, to be honest. Chessie was kind of far back, and the backup from Vata was somewhat far away, but could have perhaps been an opening here. He's still flying around. There's the refresher, finally finished. He banked up 18k before buying it, and then
Dire's courier has been killed.
No, not
getting
yeah.
killed by an illusion.
So he
Yeah.
bought the components aside from the Perseverance, and then he sent it out to the secret shop, and it died. And then this time around, the courier made it all the way to the secret shop, bought the refresher orb, and died.
He has it in 3 minutes.
So he has it in 3 minutes time. But in the meantime, more gold being banked up as he continues to clear unracked melee creeps. I think that's the biggest thing as well. Alliance are farming the lanes and pushing them in, but C9 aren't being slowed down on farm because the melee creeps are still worth full value. So that's really why the net worth isn't really moving too much, or C9 are actually kind of clawing ahead because they're getting pickoffs, and they're also and they're also just finding all of these creep kills. I haven't actually looked at CS score. We have 3 people with over 1k CS. Sind. I don't know if you saw that, but
that might be a record too. No, Loda has 998. You filthy liar.
Come on, he's about to. He'll get them. Watch.
Nope, not yet.
We'll count it down. And these 2 range creeps, and that one didn't die. Come on. This is absurd. He's going for the tier 4s now. He's given up on the racks. Tier 4s are
That
bust.
might be a better idea, actually. This could work out well here for Alliance, but you know what? I feel like in this kind of scenario, when you get this late into the game, there should be like an item for 20,000 called Barracks Construction Kit or something like that, or Tower Construction Kit. And then Fata can start investing into engineering and just building his base, and maybe start building barracks in the middle of the river so that they can push or something like that. It's kind of... They need something like that, it seems, to get out on the map. Like, the whole map is just... They're just so cornered right now, and they can't really find
Bone 7! Oh, there's a cog, but they didn't actually jump him. Why did Bulldog not just hook him? Why the blink cogs? We've had some very strange decisions from Alliance this game in terms of killing this Legion commander. There was the choice to Earth Spike instead of Hex from Misery mid, which is about 20 minutes ago, and now Bulldog spots the Legion but tries to blink in and cog and not cancel the blink daggers. So Bone 7 escapes scot-free. Loda does end up passing 1k CS, so there you go. And now looks like Alliance will be buying more Dagons.
Yep. Unfortunately, they don't work on buildings, so not really serving any purpose just yet. Bone 7 was on the hunt, did not find anyone. They did spot him with the sentry, so trying for the hookshot here from Bulldog, but unfortunately for him, missing that.
Bone 7 needs to be
Closing
hunting
in on
Loda,
100
I
minutes.
think.
Do you wanna take like a bet for how long this game goes? See who's closest.
Well, we'll do an over/under.
What are we betting?
I don't know. I'll bet you a BTS chest.
Oh, just kidding. They're just. Did you see that?
I saw that in its entirety. Hook, blink, Dagon. I'm out. I'm gone. I am the
unsuccessful drive-by shooting. We need more lasers, guys, then we can do
Dire's
it.
bottom barracks are under attack.
Oh my god. That was hilarious.
Zap.
Satanic
There's a hex.
turned on. He's
We've
gonna
got
get
a duel
hexed
in the
here.
background. It's actually Misery getting jumped here beyond Godlike
Dire's
streak.
bottom
For Bone
barracks
7,
are under
Loda wants the racks. He's not gonna get it. Is he gonna get caught? Fada's coming in. There's a hex onto Loda. Mystic Flare, little bit off center there. It's still maybe enough damage. He Manta Styles out. He does have the song, but there's still a BKB on Fada. It's just about to fade.
Oh.
He survives on 300 hit points as a buyback from Misery. He's going straight top. They're jumping in. It's on top of Razor. Can they burst him down? The Ethereal Blade comes in along with the Finger of Death, but there isn't enough burst, and Ake won't be able to throw any impetus spears. Oh, it looked like something was actually going to happen, and it will actually continue to do so. Chessie brought down Sound Stop, finished off. 100 seconds dead for him, switching to buyback status. Only 2 people without buyback, and that is your 2 supports. That is Misery, who just bought back, and Highlight Die, who has also bought a Shadow Blade.
Oh.
Ooh. Intriguing.
Maybe they're going for, like, well, I don't really
boots of
know
travel
how they
time
can
as
use
well.
that for anything else than ganking. It's just the stealth squad basically looking for kills, and They might be aiming to get Bone 7 to that point when he can start one-shotting Naga illusions. He has plus 276 damage now. He's currently soloing up Roche, which is very easy for this hero with Moment of Courage, as well as press the attack, of course. Alliance will not be looking for this right now. This is so extremely unlikely to happen that he might just get away with it. It's only an Aegis.
It's only Roshan 2. It's only Roshan 2, Cinderin. Roshan's beating him to death as well. He's dying. Oh my god, Bone.
He gets bashed. Butterfly doing
Nah.
it? Oh, he does it.
Denies the Aegis. Items for all. Nobody has room. Literally nobody has room.
Oh my god.
Kappa. I think the players are losing it as well.
Holy shit. Keeping your composure for 100 minutes in this type of game, it's pretty amazing that they haven't paused more than once.
Yeah.